won't last. Even give you all that I got to you, baby. I gave you all the love I got. I gave you more than I could give. Gave you all. I gave you all that I have inside. You took my love. You took my love. Keep crying. Keep trying for you. There's nothing like you and I, baby. This is no ordinary love. No ordinary love. This is no ordinary love. No ordinary love. When you came my way,
What's going on, everyone? Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Ugh, what's up? Let me know that you're in the building. Hello, sis. Shouts out to Raquel Henry. Sis is getting married next month. He's gonna make an honest woman out of you. Shouts out to Raquel. She's getting married. I'm a I'm a bridemaid. How's everyone doing on this Tuesday? How was your weekend? Let me know that you're in the building and talk to me. Hi, how are you? Should be a very interesting show tonight. We have a chatter on. So make sure that you share the live and stuff. We're going to wait on my forever late, never on time, disrespectful to people's time co host. Never on time. But when he's fired, he'll be feel like he's done wrong. Hi, thank you, thank you. How's everyone doing? What are y'all doing? Are y'all eating tacos? Are y'all just chilling? How are you? I'm good. How are you? I'm good. Yeah. Hey, Star. How are you? So really quick, couple of house announcements. This Sunday is House of Jewel NBU. Oh, you're in DC. Oh, that's right. Well, make sure that you are taking care of yourself. I'll just say that. When are you coming back home? So yeah, House of Jewel NBU is this weekend, honoring, of course, the rulers, Jada P. Star, Saint Laurent. I don't even know Saint Laurent's last name, but Saint Laurent and Big A, Ava Chanel. So if you're in the Atlanta area, I want to travel to the Atlanta area, make sure that you are supporting them. There's a venue change, so make sure that you are checking out their pages, our Diego's page. She is the owner, to see where that will be. All entry fees for potential contestants, our interested contestants, have been waived, so you can do the pageant for free. It's $20 to get in. Bring your dollars and your tips. I think Miss Duval Plus might be performing. I don't know yet. With some kind of conversation about that, but we'll see what happens. If I am, great. If I'm not, I will be there to support Diego. Also, this is Metro Weekend out of Jackson, Mississippi. So if you're in the Jackson area, surrounding areas, make sure that you go out and support the Metro system. They pageantry is something that's their pageants are going on this weekend. Not really sure who the title holders are, but you can always see Tut. Oh, you're not coming back to the night, so I won't see you this weekend. What else is going on this upcoming weekend? It's the Dupree Family Reunion Weekend out of Atlanta. So if you are part of the Dupree family or want to be a part of the Dupree family, I just want to hang out with the Duprees, Naisha and her crew. Um, Make sure you hang out with them. Let's see who this is. Nice of you to join us.
I'm 2 minutes late.
But you're late.
You,
Talk right quick. Talk for a minute.
I hope everyone is having a great week. I'm not a real big talker, but I can't. I'm trying to see. My cat is want to clown now because she see me on. But I hope everybody's having a great week. I'm really excited about
What?
the interview tonight because she's with someone that most people know and love for sure.
Wait, did you say you're not a
I mean,
talker?
I thought you were gone.
I just want to hear why you on here lying to these people.
Mystic is really clowning right now, and I don't know why.
How was your weekend?
My weekend was good. How was your weekend?
My weekend was very, very. I was able to. I traveled to Virginia. I went to, of course, I called you when I was had my tour with Hampton University. So that was like the highlight of my weekend. Hampton was number 5. Was Hampton on your list?
Huh?
Was Hampton on your list?
No.
So Hampton was actually number 5 on my list, and I had never even been to the campus. So to be able to have that tour and to get the history, because Hampton was always that one of the schools that was like, oh, y'all aren't real HBCUs because the founder was white.
Right.
And so so I was able to get the history behind that. Although yes, he was white, he founded the school intentionally for Indians and African Americans.
Well, most
So
HBCUs were founded by
yeah,
non-black.
if I'm not mistaken, Spelman or Morehouse, one of them.
Well, it was the time.
Right. And so that was beautiful. The campus, beautiful. I thought we had the best, beautiful, most beautiful HBCU campus. Their campus is beautiful. Um, Other than that, I did go by Norfolk. I didn't do the whole tour there, but I did go by Norfolk State. And then just hung out with my girlfriend that flew in from Dallas. So
Wait, but
yeah.
you know, for those of you who don't know, Queen is obsessed with all HBCUs, and I think that that's beautiful, and people should know that because she's like obsessed with all HBCUs. So she's very fair with that. She's definitely in love with all
Until
HBCUs
football season. Then I have to
until
pick.
football season.
I have to pick.
But you've
But
always been very much so. You
yeah,
want a
I'm
shirt. You
very
want this. You want every
I
school.
guess that comes from like, my great great grandparents were the first class at Southern University to
Mm.
graduate. And then that moved down. Of course, my parents graduated from Grambling. And so they instilled HBCU in my sister and I, although she was the black sheep and went to a PWI, believe it or not. But actually, she's a dean at Tuskegee. So that's
So
interesting.
her money is still coming
Her
from the
money is black,
HBCU.
but her education, both her degrees are PWIs. So,
Yeah, but at
um,
least she brought that PWI education to feed into a
right.
black
And so I'm making my business
institution.
whenever I'm at or whenever I'm visiting or going through a city, if they have an HBCU, to go to them. It's 107. Of course, I think maybe 8 of them are closed down. So I still
Yeah.
have a lot more to go. Other than that, my weekend was interesting.
Why
Um,
so? Well, shout out to you on your placement at MMI. And that's okay. You know, it happens. What's your little quote on it? Like it's like not doing something is sometimes protecting you, you know.
I think what gives me peace is um, the quote, rejection is God's protection.
Yeah. So
And for those of you that are um, clueless to what we're talking about, I did go to Virginia to compete for Miss Models Inc. this weekend out of Norfolk. And unfortunately, I was not victorious in being crowned. Let's be very clear on how we word that. I did definitely win. There was things that happened, like they do. Um, Interesting enough, we have the creator and the orator of the scores of the scores, and these are they. And in this particular case, that is not something that I'm uh, believing in.
yeah, you don't
Or
believe
I would
it.
say, I'll say this because I think a lot of people saw the pageant and thought that, oh gosh, she's finna make this post and she's finna go off and she's finna drag the owners and stuff. I will not be feeding into any of that. You all saw it. You all saw what happened. You all stepped up. I drove 11 hours back home. I didn't get sleepy not one time because you all have been calling me with your concerns, your come here's, your I got you here, and I appreciate all of you for that. It is definitely hurtful to know that it's not even about the money because, honey, I work 2 jobs. I'll get that back. But my time and efforts were disrespected because I respected someone and I respected their system to even go up there and give my all. I didn't give a back in my closet package. I gave you worthy enough. And so it is hurtful, but again, pro- rejection is God's protection. And what I will say to close out that, um I've lost all respect for that owner. That owner can never, should never, and better never say anything to me, um, because you were told what was going on and you went on with it. I could easily get on here and drag them. I could easily get on here or drag her. I could easily attack her looks and all of that. But what is that going to prove? I will stand in being the actual lady, since that person claims they're always that. We're going to move on. This will be the first and last time I ever speak on that situation.
Yeah.
I hope that owners of pageants that have that individual on their panel saw what happened, not just last night, but last year and years prior, and you all start using integrity and a better judgment on who you allow to judge your pageants when they are doing things that are out of context for theirs. So
Yeah.
I'll just say that I am not mad. I am not bitter. You know, we love to say that when we talk about the things that happen to us. We love to call each other, oh, they're just mad, they're just bitter. I'm not. I walked away with the same amount of money that the winner walked away with. So that's that. I mean,
Yeah.
um, um, but you know, it is what it is. I've
It's okay.
never ever. I've been doing this on and off. I've been competing on and off for 19 years, and never have I left a pageant and felt like I should have won. I've always been self-aware of that gown was too long. That talent wasn't that entertaining. You were wrinkled in interview. You slipped, or whatever the situation is. Even with Westland, you know, I felt like, okay, I see where I could have been gotten. So to have this finally happen to me, or not finally happen to me, but to have this happen to me, it is kind of like, well, what did I do to you? You know what I'm saying? I supported you. I supported your system. What is it? And I'll never get that answer. And at this point, I don't care, because what you have done is you've garnered me a new fan base. And again, I won't drag anyone. I'm not going to hate and this and the other, because you know I could, but we'll just remain at peace with whatever
Yeah.
God, whatever reason He did that. I'll leave it in His hands, and
Well,
we'll
just
move
know
on.
that you did an amazing job.
Thank
You
you,
were
thank you.
absolutely stunning, but outside of stunning, your fits were fitting, your look was looking, your talent was talented. So it doesn't
And shouts
matter.
out when you all are inboxing me and you're calling me and you're posting about Sunday. Make sure that you um contact Anthony Wiley. That man is beyond amazing. Of course, he was behind all of that. So you know,
Shout out,
he
Anthony.
so and when I hurt, he hurt. So those helpers go through things too. And so shout out to Anthony Wiley. He is amazing. Girls and guys, if you ever need a stage helper, he's the one to go. I see Baxter said put some respect on my name. I would prefer that you do that to me, because the comments that you made last night was totally
Where do you
disrespectful.
see that?
Um,
I
but
don't
um,
see that.
but you know they clickbait stuff and send them to you, and I thought that was just like, what do you mean she's not that girl or her? Okay, we don't even have to go into that.
We're not
But
gonna. But if you're in Houston, Texas, in a couple of weeks, June 22nd, we will be having our very first Mr. and Miss Impulse Advocacy pageant, where the reigning is Tommy Ross and Rashawn Montrese. And also give a shout out to Christina Ross, Roxy Ross, and Sherman Houston and myself. We are the new owners of Texas US of A Pageantry. That is Mr. and Miss Gay Texas US of A and Mr. and Miss Gay Texas US of A at large. And we are getting ready for Miss Gay Texas US of A, which we're gonna be held August 20th through the 22nd here in Houston, Texas. Hit us up if you have any questions. We have beautiful contestants already qualified with 2 or 3 more prelims left. So ladies, it's not too late to grab your preliminary. We have 20 males already qualified for Mr. Texas and 20 for Mr. Texas at large, and we have 12 for Miss Texas at large. So, and they still have plenty of prelims left. So good luck to them, and congratulations once again to Roxy Ross, Christina Ross, Sherman Houston.
Oh,
Yeah.
and before we move forward, also this weekend was Dots newcomer and Dots Plus. So let me give a shout out to Nisi Poo Janaya Price for getting Dots
Janaya.
Plus. The newcomers, okay, so I'm going to mess this up. I think it's Amina Anakwe and Jason Meredith out of Montgomery, Mobile. Shout out to them. And then the next night was Magnifique, and I cannot forget my Duval King, Kendall, as well as Mercedes L'Oreal. So shouts out to all of the winners this
All the
weekend,
winners this
all of the
weekend.
placements.
All of
So
the first runner-ups, all of the people that were crowned and jeweled, and the ones that actually won, and the ones that didn't.
you gonna anyway, where did the pineapple come from? I just felt like the dress looked like a pineapple, so went with that because it was creative gown. But yeah, so we're done with that conversation about that particular pageant, as far as at least I am. Shouts out to Flame is on here, Baxter Braxton,
What's up?
the doll herself, Madame Brazil, Katrina Dupree, and everyone. Again, Sunday, Atlanta, Georgia, NBU prelim. Make sure that
Thank
you
you,
are supporting
Brazil.
Vicki.
Love you.
And
Flame.
so our guest tonight, we are 4 hours behind because someone wants to be late
Girl,
over
Flame
there
said
in
y'all
the
got rid
corner.
of KKK. Stop, Flame.
What'd she say?
She said y'all got rid of the KKK. Remember it was K3.
Yeah, so maybe that's an off-topic conversation.
It's off
Stealing?
topic. I don't know about all that. I just
Oh yeah. Oh, this is not that type of show. So tonight's guest is a little different. She does do drag, but we mostly know her as sitting on panels, whooping the girls. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I had the pleasure of my first pageant ever, Ebony International Plus 2006. She was a judge, and I want to talk to her about something that happened in that interview. But we like to switch it up. We don't always want to hear from entertainers. Vicki has been in the scene, I want to say 40 years now. So
oh
she
wow.
she knows things, and I wanted to get her insight on things and what she feels about things, and then also dig deeper because I know you want to talk to her about her famous saying, "The scores are the scores, and these are they." So I know you want to pick with her with that. So we won't hold any longer because we understand that Vicki is a working individual like us, and we say an hour, but I'm more than sure this will go longer than that. But while we do that, let's bring on our guest. This is Zaddy, Vicki Valentino.
Oh, y'all are so messy. Wait,
oh, oh, okay. You
this
and
ain't that.
Refin, you and Refin on some other stuff these days.
This ain't that. This your ain't. I'm, I'm in. I'm in reality costume. This is reality.
Okay, reality.
Everything else is a fantasy.
Okay. Well, first of all, how are you?
I'm well. How are you both?
We are good. We want to say thank you for accepting the invitation to come on and talk to us. Let us pick your brain. It's interesting because you're the one always interviewing us, and now we get to get you. The only difference is there's no numbers being written down.
Oh, okay.
So we definitely think that you are deserving of that title, legend in this industry. You've been around, you've done it. So uh,
Created some.
created
Yeah,
some. What she said earlier, I have raised some. And
yeah,
so
yeah.
we definitely want to give you the opportunity to tell your story a little bit and then dig deeper on this community that we are involved in and things, how you see them going and things that can change and stuff. So
Yeah.
thank you again for accepting this invitation.
My pleasure.
Right. So let's just dig deeper. First of all, what was the pit and peak of your day today?
Well, of course, you guys are. I work a professional job. Many probably would not know what type of work I do, but I am a audit and compliance officer for the state of Missouri for Medicaid and Medicare.
Mhm.
And so my primary focus is home healthcare companies, nursing homes. Unfortunately, I would be the one to shut you down if you're not in compliance. So
Oh,
that goes along with who people pretty much know Vicki Valentino to be on stage in the arena of pageantry and all of that. I'm a big proponent of integrity. And so my job is that of integrity. And I'm not perfect. So certainly I don't put myself in a box of being perfect at all. However, I think integrity is all that you have beyond the glitz glams of everything that you do. Whatever you do, just be sure to do it with integrity.
right. Okay.
Mhm.
Integrity. That's an interesting word that's been thrown around a lot lately these couple
Yeah.
of weeks when it comes to our community. And we'll dig deeper into that. But take us back. So who were you growing up? What was life like for you? Where you from? Give us that whole spiel.
Okay. So of course I was born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri. Um, I went to uh, grade school, middle school, high school, and college here. St. Louis is my home. It's where my love is. It's where my heart is. Um, I've never been a gypsy, and shout out to the gypsies or those who can pick up and just move in. And no offense, but I am St. Louis, and St. Louis is me. Um, Growing up, I was just one of the church boys. I went to church. I really like learning. I like the fact that we never stop learning. Um, Actually, upon completing college, I always wanted to be a teacher. I just thought teachers were the most fascinating people of all. So after attending college, I taught for a few years in secondary education, and pretty much everything I do from that aspect of my life centers around teaching and encouraging. Um, if I would like to describe myself in a nutshell, I like to encourage. I am not a proponent of tough love at all. Love is not tough. So if ever you hear someone say they have tough love for you, they have none at all. Because love is supposed to be compassionate, understanding. It can be stern, but it doesn't have to be tough.
Okay.
So that's pretty much me. As we delve further, anything that you would like to know, there are no questions off guard. I'm here to answer.
So, growing up in school and stuff, what were some of the activities, extracurricular activities you were involved in? Because
Okay,
I want to go there.
I was in drama club.
Okay,
I was a track star.
okay, Rana.
Yeah, so I can run pretty well.
Okay,
Um, but that's pretty much it. I was a part of marching band,
okay.
responsible for the pom pom girls, the baton twirlers, the drill team, all of that. My face was somewhere in there, either as a team captain or organizer or planner of that while in high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then that ventured over into college, or did you just?
No, in college I was not into it
Mhm.
for fear of what other people would think. But I quickly got over that because I wasn't there for that. That was like the high school days. So when I got to college, it was pretty much serious because, as I said, I went in hopes to becoming a teacher.
Right.
So whereas I wanted to make sure that my concentration was on that for the most part. Of
Okay.
course, I was in like you know, um, I was in the journalism. I was on the journalism team, responsible for the school newspaper and stuff like that. So yeah, but aside from all of that, I was still the fun person. I was very relatable. Everybody could relate to me. If you wanted to know the truth, you come and ask me. So that pretty much is the same as I am today.
Right. I was going
Um,
to say, so you've always just been that person,
I've
basically.
always been that person. Yes,
Okay.
and with
Tell us
no
about.
apologies and no regrets.
Oh wow. Tell us about your family dynamics growing up. Were they accepting or knowing of your identity and sexuality, or did that come later?
It's funny because I'm the last of six children.
Mhm.
And when I came along 10 years after my sister. So when my siblings were born, when I was born, my siblings were teenagers and my
Mhm.
sister was 10 years old. And ironically, you asked about that. All of my siblings are deceased. Um, my last brother, who happened to be my everything, he passed away in 2020 at 65 years old.
Mhm.
And of course, all of my siblings, by me being so much younger than them, I was always their baby. So I got all of the nurturing from all of them. Um, as far as my sexuality is concerned, I was never questioned. And I know that probably doesn't make sense to some. And if there was a question, I was never browbeaten for who I was. Um, and in all honesty, I was thrust into parenthood early on in my life. And I always say I've never been a kid. Speaking of my sister, like many other families and my siblings, they all had some type of addiction of some kind, be it alcohol or drugs or something like that. So um, my sister that I speak of, that was 10 years older than me, she started having children like very early. And so the first baby I ever held, I was 6 years old. And
Oh,
I was thrust into parenthood to assist my mother with raising her children. And it seemed like every other year she would have another child. So, and of course, battling her addiction and her absence and all that kind of stuff. So I was thrust in, as I said, into parenthood very early.
Mhm.
And as a result of that, that's all I know. I know family and I know parenting.
Yeah.
And parenting is not always easy, but it's all I know. And it's all I have known ever since I was 6 years old. And so I'm into my 50s now and I'm still parenting, helping to raise my nieces and nephews. They're now in their 40s. They have families and all of that. And one of the things that I'm very proud about in terms of my sexuality, they have never been disrespectful of me. Never, they've never been ashamed of me. It wasn't that I paraded around them in my sexuality. I was who I was, and that was it. But the funny thing is, I mentioned starting parenting at 6, probably about maybe 15 years into me being Vicki Valentino. Of course, I was the show director and show host at a club, and so my niece and some friends came to the club.
Mm.
And so I was up on stage doing my Vicki Valentino thing, hosting and cussing and all that kind of stuff. And I looked across the room and there was my baby. But of course, I was all dialed up and all this kind of stuff. And so after the show was over, we went to the dressing room and there she was at the door of the dressing room. She said, I
Wow.
told her that's my uncle. I said, if you ever tell anybody, I will beat your and all of that. Um, so as a result of that, that was her introduction to seeing who I was outside of being her uncle. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And for some reason, that was the biggest relief of all. Because you know how I don't want to say hold a secret, but you hold something about yourself that you just want to share with those people outside of your fans and outside of the people from the club. And so, as a result of breaking that barrier with my niece, it was just full out. Now, in all honesty, this was never a question that I had. I mean, never a conversation that I had with my parents
Right.
or even my siblings for that reason. You know what I mean? But as time grew on and I was always gone, I was always doing something. Um, my other nieces got wind of it some kind of way. And as they say, we love you, we love you, we love you, we love you. And of course, that just warmed my heart
Mhm.
and it gave me the wherewithal just to be authentically me. But the
Okay.
one thing that I did have was respect for my family because everybody does not understand our lifestyle. And I think one of the things that we do with our lifestyle, we bombard people who are not ready, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. And you can't just stick your stick like, but I'm going to do what I'm going to do. No, because at the end of the day, when you're not accepted by the people that you've chosen, you still have to have a foundation of your own
Right.
and
That's
from whence you come. You know what I'm saying? So my advice to anyone who is having challenges with their family, try to build a unbreakable bond. They may not understand, but do not be disrespectful from whence you came. So that's just like all my advice. But that's enough.
good. King, you got anything before I go to the next segment, King?
Well, I did have a question about you talked about your siblings all kind of had their own struggle.
Uh-huh.
Um, do you think that part of the reason that you may have had a curveball with that is because you was so young and so you were able to kind of watch them as you were growing up? Do you think that played a part in it, the gap in the age?
Most definitely. And they were destroying themselves. And I got a chance to witness that as a child.
Mhm.
So I never wanted to be a part of that. Now, in all transparency, my father was an alcoholic, but my mother was not. My mother was a church going, nurturing woman. So me being feminine and that sort of thing, I migrated to her behaviors. You know,
Mhm.
like that's kind of who I am today, it is due in part to how my mother treated people and how she embraced people no matter what walk of life you came from. So that's pretty much who I am in a nutshell. And she was certainly my blueprint and just my inspiration for being who I am.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So tell us how and when you were introduced to the art form of drag.
Woo. Okay. Well, and I just want to give a big shout out to um, some of my sisters who are still doing the damn thing.
Okay.
But my introduction to female impersonation was, of course, going to the clubs, um, getting in underage and that sort of thing. But Alicia Kelly,
Uh,
you all know who Alicia Kelly is.
yeah.
There was a group of us who were all friends, and so um, we first of all we went to church and like all the time, but there were times that Alicia she couldn't go to the evening services because she was doing shows,
Okay.
and so we got a chance to go to the club where she was doing the show, and she was a dynamic performer, but she was a boy. And so, they were paying her and all that kind of stuff. And a big shout out to my sister Regina Anye and Alexis Principal. We all started on the same night on a dare, and we followed the pattern of Alicia Kelly. And at that time, she was actually Alicia Anye. She only became Alicia Kelly later on in life. But Halloween 1984, we just decided we finna do it. We just gonna dress up. We gonna go. And there happened to be a pageant. And the name of the pageant, this was, oh my God, this was at Faces in 1984, believe it or not. And the pageant was called Why I Like Being a Girl. And it only had one category. You just had to dress up as a girl and walk down the runway. And so at that time, I didn't have the name Valentino. I was Tracy Houston,
Oh.
uh, Whitney
Well,
Houston's
Tracy.
baby sister. So I had so I had the Whitney Houston get up, and I was very cute and all of that. And of course, um, after that, I had gotten so many accolades, and I had won the contest.
Oh.
And after that, it was on because there was so much cheering from the crowd. Because of course, this is Halloween, so this is like everybody's debut. But I had got such a huge reception in the public. Now I had been dressing up in my mom's stuff and all of that, going over to Regina's house, and we getting in drag and just playing around the house, but never made it public. But
Right.
when I saw the reception of the people and they appreciated me and I loved doing what I was doing, I was like, okay, I'm hooked.
Okay.
And so shortly after that, I came home and I was looking at Vogue magazine, and it was this lady. She was laying on this chaise lounge, and she had this black velvet gown, and it was just cascading across the thing. And the caption said, "Very Valentino." I said, "Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm going to be," and of course, y'all know my name, Vincent, but
Right.
I said, "I'm Vicki Valentino," and that's how that came.
Oh gosh. So you became Vicki Valentino because of a picture. I don't know
But
why
because
I
of the picture.
always connected you with Sasha.
No, and that's such a big misconception because just man, being honest and just authentic. While she was in the womb, I was in a wig on stage.
Oh.
So Sasha did not come to be um, in the early part of me becoming Vicky Valentino. As a matter of fact, I didn't know of Sasha until like well into my career. I would say 10 or 12 years into the career. And Sasha was in Chicago figuring out herself because Sasha was a gangster
Right.
in our high school days.
Right.
So knowing that she would ever transition to be Sasha, so there's a big misconception as to who came first, or and it disheartens me because there was never a competition. Because when Sasha got light of who I was, I embraced her immediately.
Mhm.
This was like early on in the transition because I invited her down to come and perform at the clubs that I was the MC of and that sort of thing. And this was like early on in her career, and I just became her big sister.
Okay.
But a lot
Okay.
of people don't know that.
Okay.
If I could be totally honest, if I had a name that was supposed to be put on me because of family lineage, it would actually be Bonet
Tell
because
us.
Tiffany Bonet is my mother.
Okay. So it didn't dawn on you, or you didn't want to keep the legacy going, or you just wanted to have your own identity?
No, because you know how you admire people from afar, but then you're too afraid to say anything to them.
Mhm.
But she was everything to me.
Right.
A.C.
Mhm.
Hendricks was that was during the time of Miss Gay America and her quest to become Miss Gay America. And she was just everything to me. And it was like the way she walked, the way she talked, her intelligence, her transformation, even. And
Okay.
so during one of her attempts to become Miss Gay America, I think it was in 1990, I introduced myself. But of course, I had already been Vicki Valentino at that time.
Right.
And I told AC how much I loved him and all that kind of stuff. And I said, I'd like to be your daughter. She said, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And
Okay.
so,
Is Tiffany Bonet the one that does jewelry?
uh-huh, Tiffany
Okay.
Bonet. And
Right.
when she was ultimately crowned Miss Gay America in 1992, after so many attempts, you know how we often hear the term a reflection of me
Uh-huh.
or a reflection of yourself, especially in the Miss Gay America time, because I come under that discipline since the time I started as a female impersonator. And whereas there were people who were breaking barriers that looked like me, Tiffany Bonet, outside of her ethnicity, she was just everything that I thought I could be as a female impersonator
Okay.
on a scale outside of my city. Because
Gotcha.
some of the icons that I lived for here in St. Louis was Shayla Simpson,
That was going to be my
um,
next question. Who were the girls? Okay, go
yeah,
ahead.
Miss Vogue, um, um, Lady Sherelle. All of those were phenomenal entertainers who were in my city. But
Okay.
of course, they had not gotten to a national level of being represented. But Tiffany Bonet was there. And so she, even to this day, we don't talk very often, but every time I see her, I get teary eyed because her longevity in this business inspired me in such a way. I'm getting emotional about it now. And I think we're in a time in our community where we do not go back and tell the people because we think so
Mm-hmm.
much highly of ourselves that we ought to. And you
Mhm.
forget that you had a beginning and you had an inspiration. So she is just my inspiration. And as I said, I don't get a chance to see her often or talk to her often, but she knows and she acknowledges me, um, as her child, and I just love her for that.
And it could be one of those situations where we see these entities being so big, and
Hmm.
we're like, oh, I'm too scared. We don't know what's going to come of that. I remember when I first came out in Birmingham, Tasha Long had already left, and she
Uh-huh,
came back. So it was around that '06, '07 era, and
uh-huh,
she came back, and it was when Beyonce was really hot, and she did this full out production, and I was like, oh my God, I'll never be able to speak to her.
uh-huh.
She's this entity. And now here we are now inboxing about crazy stuff all the time. So
Yeah,
I say that to say, that could have been the issue too. That,
yeah,
a lot of times we think that people are bigger than life and they're just human like we are. Um,
exactly.
would you consider yourself, do you think that you are, or would you deem yourself the mother of St. Louis now?
Well, I'm one of them. I definitely can say that.
Okay.
Because there are other mother figures here,
Mhm.
but definitely I'm one of them. And in the perception of some that have seen me down through the years, they would probably conclude that I'm the only mother. But
Mhm.
um, I won't put that credit on myself, but definitely one of them.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
So one of the mothers of the city.
One of the
What
mothers. You know
what
how they have a
makes you
mother's board in church?
Yes.
Now, let's be clear. Even with this beard and stuff, I'm still the chairman of the mother's board. I just want to be clear.
I felt like we
What
were
do
gonna
you
go
feel
there.
makes you that though?
My nurturing nature.
Okay.
Um, I'm able to meet you where you are and encourage you to where you want to be. And in that process, you're not going to always agree with me. You're not going to always like what I say.
Okay.
I'm never going to disrespect you. I'm going to mother you. And I tell like all of the entertainers, more so the current day entertainers, they're part of my lineage. So I haven't really had hands on them, but they know of my reputation. But some of the early ones, they already know. Um, if you ask me, I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to rush to you and cut you down. But if you ask me, I'm going to give you the authentic truth concerning you. Now you take what you will with it, but it's going to help you in the long run. And one of the things that I admire that about myself is because I had that same tutelage. Vicki Vincent, you all probably don't know who Vicki Vincent is, but Vicki Vincent was Miss Gay America in 1989 as Roger Pyatt. Roger Pyatt was Caucasian. She was a white woman. But when I tell you she was the mother to the black girls that were coming up and wanted to be something in their career, it was Vicki Vincent who single-handedly broke down doors for us to get the opportunity to be seen.
Gotcha.
So when we come to racial equality, sometimes we disparage another race for no reason because of what one person did to you. But it was a white woman. And all of the black entertainers that you hear about coming from here that you guys will be familiar with or can find some history on. Now, there are some other black entertainers who were in the early 70s and all that kind of stuff, but I'm not discrediting them. But those of us who grew up in the 80s and the 90s, I live in a Midwestern town,
Right.
and take that from what you will. So the
Right.
opportunities for us were not as prevalent as perhaps they were in the South. And I'm not saying that the South didn't have struggle, but certainly in the Midwest. But Vicki Vincent put us before big stages, faces, and in doing so, she groomed us in the America system because that's what she was a part of until she ultimately came Miss Gay America in 1989. But her quest to become Miss Gay America was several years of loss, but we all rallied around her. And as a result, we became part of that discipline platform of Miss Gay America. But in that time, we had opportunities afforded to us by way of her on so many levels. And for that, I'm very, very appreciative. And that goes back to some of the bigger names. And Roger, Vicki Vincent was pretty much like that. Roger was very stern. Drag one-on-one. You couldn't come out without nails. You couldn't come out without titties. You couldn't come out without hips. You understand? And sometimes when I see the newer girls now, girl, y'all haven't even passed drag 101. Where's your nails? If this is an illusion, because that's in essence, that's what it is. So I've taken a step back, but those persons that have come in contact with me who are now nurturing those individuals, much like Tiana Steele and those type of, they already know. Instilled this in you guys, and you guys are going to carry forth what I instilled in you. And I feel like this. You should always pass the torch, but never extinguish the flame.
I like that.
But sometimes for us, it's time for us to move over. You want to know if drag is evolving? It can't if I'm standing in the way.
Okay. And I want to dig into that deeper a
Sure.
little later. But one question I want to ask: what do you think would have become or propelled your career if you would have left St. Louis? Do you think anything would have happened differently that you haven't accomplished or been a part of? Do you think it would have been any difference?
I'll never know.
Mhm.
And the reason, and I'm okay with that,
Mhm.
because hardly anywhere on a drag platform can you go without mentioning my name and it's familiar. You may not know me personally. And so this is what I feel, because so many people, some of the newer people feel that you have to migrate other places, and that works for some.
Yeah.
But if you be the best where you are, your name will precede you and be spoken in rooms that you don't ever have to walk in, whether it's good or bad. You would want them to be good, but you can have the reality that it's not going to always be good. But the fact that it was mentioned,
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Okay.
when it's accomplished.
Gotcha. So let's pause, drag, and let's get to know Vincent a little bit. Okay. Um, if Vincent could live in any decade, which one would you choose? Or relive in any decade?
You know what? Probably the 80s.
Okay.
And the reason I say that because that was like my high school days. I had a blast during that time. I
Okay.
was cute. I had a little body. I had booty. You know what I'm saying? Wait a minute. I could wear bow ties, and that was my introduction to wearing bow ties and carrying briefcases and all that. So the '80s was it was a real good time for me.
Okay. All right. Growing up, what was your favorite cereal if you ate cereal to eat?
Frosted Flake, with bananas cut up in it.
Did you put sugar on top of yours?
I did.
Okay. Are you still eating it like that today?
You say what?
Are you still eating it like that today?
No, I haven't eaten because I don't like milk anymore.
Okay.
I know they say milk does your body good, but I cannot drink milk. The only time I would even drink milk is probably eating some cereal. But I'm not even a breakfast person really.
Okay.
I mean, my breakfast of champions is a cup of coffee.
Okay.
A coffee does it for me.
Who would you deem TV's most famous dad?
The most famous dad would probably be Bill Cosby.
Okay. All right.
Hmm.
All right. Perfect. Three
Yeah.
things that you know Vincent can work on about himself.
Hmm. A little bit more patience.
Mhm.
Um. Um. Probably understanding better the trans community. And I say that with a lot of love, because I personally know, and this is my opinion, that their decision to transition was too soon. And to see them have to endure many of the things that they have to go through, I need some more understanding of that without lashing out in a motherly way. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
it's out of love, and it's not like I'm not supporting you. But my question becomes: did you have to do this? Did you have to do that, or did you do too much of this to achieve that? You know what I mean? So I don't understand. So that's one of the things that I need help on.
Mhm.
The other, and the last thing, if I'm mentioning three, would probably be embracing this in a way where it's not misconstrued as something that it's not. I'm not trying to be daddy. I'm not trying to be, I'm Vicki Valentino.
Right.
Um, and those, I mean, those, of course I'm Vincent. I'm always Vincent. I was Vincent when I was Vicki.
Mhm.
But just embracing this and getting others to help me embrace this. I mean, I'm well into my 50s. I've decided to hang up my hair, hips, and heels from the stage, but my influence and my contributions and my participation in the drag scene is still the same as it was.
Okay.
But detangling the thought process of that as to others' perception is that's probably be my third one.
Okay. Favorite color?
Red.
Fire. Like you.
Yeah. And I'm a fire sign, so I'm an Aries. So
Okay. Oh goodness. Um, are you a cooker? If so, what's your favorite thing to cook?
yes, I can cook. I told you I'm a mother and an auntie for real.
All
Yeah.
mama cook.
Well, all mamas can't cook,
He
but this
said for
auntie can.
real.
I mean, I like soul food.
Okay.
I can pretty much cook anything, but I really like soul food.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
What would your next door neighbors say about you?
That I love my dog.
Okay. Your dog gonna be
I have
hooching in
I
your
have a
yard,
she
Julie.
I have a Shih Tzu, and he'll be 12 years old in December. And I love my dog. And so, I mean, God has blessed me with a nice home
Right.
and a nice big area, like in the back, that he can go run and stuff. And I'm always excited to see him happy. And so my neighbors always say, "You love your dog, don't you?" Yeah.
Okay. Celebrity crush, if you have one.
Oh, y'all gonna be mad at me when I say this,
Wow.
but
Now I'm curious.
Judge Mathis, I love him.
He's a
Okay.
very distinguished looking man.
I love him. I just love him. I love him because he's authentic. You never catch him being fake at no point. And
Okay.
I just love him.
Okay. Gotcha.
And he
All right.
loves his son and his son's husband. So that's a
Yes, and
shout out
that
to
just
him.
wait a minute. That just, oh my God. Wendell, that had just made me love him even more.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you could choose a celebrity to be best friends with, who would he or she be?
Gail King.
Why
I
Gail?
adore,
Okay.
I adore her.
Okay.
I adore her for her longevity. She had to come under or be the sidekick for Oprah, but
Hmm.
she stands in her own excellence.
Yes.
And whereas she does acknowledge her friendship with Oprah, she is not in the shadow in and of herself and what her abilities are. You know what I
Got
mean? And I love her for that. And, you know, this is what I believe, and it could be attributed to how celebrities in our community are. Is someone standing right beside them, waiting for their opportunity to shine and be shown. I've
mm,
moved the star out of the way. I want to see you.
gotcha.
Mhm.
Okay. Favorite place to visit?
Um, there are a couple places. I like to come to Atlanta. I like to come there, but I like to come back home too. I like Houston too, Wendell. I always said if I had to move from St. Louis, it would have always been to Houston because I just loved it because we used to come there every year for the splash. We would come to Houston and drive to Galveston. That was just, and of course, that was in the 80s and 90s. So that was just so sickening to me. So yeah,
Okay.
and I like Alabama too. I actually have some family that live in Birmingham, and I hadn't been there in like many years. But when I got there, I had a y'all cook barbecue on every corner.
Every corner.
It's so sickening.
Go on
Yeah,
down there to Birmingham and see Yasmin and Tamira. They'll be love to have you.
yeah.
Okay. What's your favorite season?
Fall.
How is fall in St. Louis?
Great. And here in St. Louis, we have all four seasons. We know we just had a tornado that
Right.
ravaged the part of the city where I grew up. Um, but fall, it's a good time, and a lot of people think that it snows all the time here. I mean, we get winter, and then it snows sometimes, but we're not the snow-capped Rocky Mountains or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fall is a good time because it's a mixture of cool and mid cool and warm. You know what I'm saying? Because summers here are hot,
Oh,
very.
gotcha. Um, what would you say would be your favorite holiday aside from your birthday?
Thanksgiving,
Because you're gonna cook
Thanksgiving.
that soul food and eat.
It's not even that. It's just no. It's not even that. It's just what the holiday means. Not necessarily for myself, but for others. Because outside of like maybe Mother's Day or something like that, that's when people are so excited about going home from where they came to visit their
Yeah.
loved ones.
Okay.
That
Mhm.
they don't hardly even do that around Christmas time, but Thanksgiving, everybody's trying to get home just to be a part of that special day with their family. And it was such a tradition for me, but as I, let you guys know that all of my siblings are gone. So when we gather for Thanksgiving and I see my nieces, I see my siblings in them. It's not the same, but I
But
can see their seed and still celebrate it. And they're always excited about us getting together for Thanksgiving as they did when my mother was living. Everybody came to Big Mama's house.
Big Mamas, yes.
Yeah.
Um, what would you say is your biggest, if you have one, your biggest fear?
My biggest fear is to get sick where I can't do anything for myself and suffer.
Mm,
That's my biggest fear.
okay.
Yeah,
All
that's my
right.
biggest fear.
Okay. What would you say is your biggest pet peeve?
When people think more of themselves than they should,
Mm.
my biggest pet
So
peeve.
there's a thin line between thinking more to yourself and having confidence.
Uh-huh. But see, we in this community, many of us don't know how to distinguish the two.
Mhm.
You know, we think because we won one pageant, oh, we it. No, no. You were it that one time, but soon after that, you wouldn't. No, that ain't
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Gotcha.
that's one of my biggest pet peeves. And what happens is it ruins the camaraderie of what pageantry was designed to be.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? And when you get to a point where you think you are the end all be all, it's time for you to get it's time for you to get punished a few times. Yeah.
What makes you cry, if anything makes you cry?
When my friends and my children die, and
Okay.
you shouldn't ask me that
Okay. Yeah, I got it. Gotcha. I got you. Um,
because it's just one of those things. Kitty Little died,
yeah.
and Kitty was my everything, not only my daughter, but my friend.
Yeah.
And to watch Kitty go through what she went through, we had gotten over many tragic deaths here, you know, um, and it seemed like it's a rapid progression of this area. I know people are dying other places and all of that, but for my St. Louis babies, it's been a big number of them. Desiree, um, Christian
Brianna.
Steele,
Yeah.
Brianna.
Jabarbi, yes, Brianna. And it's been a rapid succession of that. So oftentimes, and the reality is, before you all knew who they were on that level, they were belongs to me. They belong to me. And to see them suffer and ultimately leave, it's a mix of emotions.
Yeah.
Because when you see someone suffering, you want them to be relieved of the suffering, whatever the suffering is. But you have to deal with the void that comes after that.
Right.
But you can hold on to the memories. And one of the things that I always say is that memories never die.
Yeah.
And so that's why I take so many pictures because I can look at the pictures, excuse me,
Mm,
and just remember. But Kitty's death is different
mhm. Yeah.
because when they came to their end, we came together to celebrate them or to do whatever we could to keep the memory alive. But now she's gone. That makes
Gotcha. Thank you for that. I know that I think I told you one of the reasons why I had to have you on because I knew that y'all were close. Kitty and I were talking. She was supposed to come on the show
yeah,
and talk to us. And I hate, and that's another reason why we continue to do these and we speak
yeah,
because you never know when their last conversation.
yeah,
So interesting enough, same thing was supposed to happen with Desiree. We
Desiree.
were supposed to have her on, and she, expired, and not Kitty. So thank you for
yeah,
standing in. And about the memories thing, just to tell the 80 people that I can see on, do that like Vicki says. Take those pictures because Naisha said something. This is the only moment you're going to be in. You'll never have this moment again, wherever you are. Is a pageant, a football game, in the grocery store. Make those memories because this is the only moment that you'll have. So thank you for that and being
yeah,
emotional and vulnerable and talking about that. One
yeah.
last question about Vincent, because we know that you are, although you don't embrace it, we definitely see that you are a very handsome 50-plus-year-old man. That I think that is something that all of us say when you post your trap pictures.
It's all, wait a minute,
Not the
wait a minute,
trap.
it's always you. Wait a
I
minute, and
said
wait a minute, and
trap. No,
wait a minute, Trent, you said one word, and I got so tickled.
I said, oh, look at us doing these trap pictures. But I want to ask you this because this seems to be a trend a lot of times with our boy queens, if you don't mind me calling that. Some people get offended by
Sure,
that. Are you offended by that?
that's fine. No,
Okay. Um, have you had an issue or do you find an issue? I know you hung up your heels and wigs when it comes to your dating life, being Vicki Valentino and separating Vincent from Vicki, and people or men are not interested in the female part of you. Has it been hard for you? Has that ever been a challenge, or how do you separate the two?
well, if I can be honest, it has been
Okay.
in some form or another. Um, because a lot of times the people that you desire you, but they won't attempt or be involved because of what people will say.
Hmm.
And don't you ever fool yourself. It's about what people will say.
Mhm.
Because I feel like if you like somebody or you feel drawn to them in your heart, it should matter. But the fact that they do this, uh, that that that's going to diminish whoever they're aspiring to be for whatever reason. That's not a blanket statement over everybody, but I found that as it relates to me. And then the other thing is, for some reason, guys have been intimidated by me. Not necessarily, I don't know if I fully equate it to me being Vicky Valentino, because one of the things that I've prided myself on is that I can go from that to this and then back to this. You know what I mean? That's been my like desire throughout my whole career. I've never wanted to do like augmentations to myself, and nothing against those that have. As for me, but a lot of times people in leadership in any type of capacity are revered in a different way than a regular person.
Hmm.
And it may be that they may think that you may not receive them, or something, you know what I mean? It's kind of a catch 22. But who I'm with now, it doesn't matter. This what he always he don't celebrate nothing that Vicky, he ain't concerned. It
Okay, who
doesn't
you with
phase him.
now? Okay.
That, that that don't even concern him.
Okay, gotcha. Good.
Yeah.
But what advice would you give to those boy queens that have hard times authentically finding relationships with people because of them doing drag? What would you say to them?
I would say to them, if they really wanted you, they would ask for your hand. If they really wanted you, it's a difference between being desired and wanted.
Um,
Mm.
I can desire you from a distance, but do I want you in my presence?
gotcha.
Do I
Okay.
want you to physically be with me? Do I want you to physically touch me? You know what I mean? How many times have we looked at stars on? You say, I wonder what they like. You're like, oh, girl, I want to meet them. You know what I'm saying? That sort of stuff.
Okay, gotcha. So y'all hear that?
But
All of y'all that are
I
watching,
would say,
they
I would
want you.
say, I would say, don't single yourself out as the only person having relationship problems. We are so caught up on so many reasons why we won't step out of our comfort zone and acquaint ourselves with people that we really like. That you're not an anomaly. That I want to assure you of that. And
Gotcha.
whatever your desire. See, my thing is, if someone really wants you, they want everything about you
Mhm.
that makes you happy. And as
Gotcha.
long as it's not destroying you, you have to stay true to you, because the worst thing in the world is to be in a relationship and be unhappy. And if you're not allowed to do what you want to do, that's a sign of narcissism. And don't you fool yourself, because that's what it is. If
I'm
you
definitely.
cannot do what makes you happy, that's doing no harm to anyone, and you're being held back from that, that person don't want you. They want the thought of you.
So y'all hear the nurturer giving y'all this good word.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
Before
yeah.
we go into the game, Auntie, I want to ask you one last question about
Sure.
your faith and your sexuality. Tell
Uh-huh.
us about how you balance, or is it a balance, or how does that work for you? Growing up in the church, being in the church, and then hearing about different things. How do you navigate that?
It's funny that you asked me that because many people, probably the people here in St. Louis, know, but I'm a licensed minister.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not a preacher, but I do ministerial things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I walk by faith and not by sight. And I feel like the agape love of Jesus Christ encompasses everybody from all walks of life. Nowhere in my study of the Bible or the scriptures or even my belief system says that what I'm doing is worse than what you're doing. It's an equal thing. We all have sinned. We're all will be sinning. But I think that God is more concerned about your heart. You know what I mean? And the scripture does tell us that man looks on the outside, but God looks at the heart.
Yeah.
And I believe that whatever comes from your heart is a manifestation of who you were meant to be.
Okay.
And
Gotcha.
sometimes we struggle with that. And I, whereas I am not condoning sin,
Mm-hmm.
but neither am I condemning my sexuality, because the Bible also reminds us that, you know, let there therefore be no condemnation. Don't you condemn yourself, because he died on the cross for your sins. So don't let nobody else condemn you. But moreover, don't you condemn yourself for who you are. I mean, it goes back to even the simple song when we were, Jesus loves me, honey. This I know. Well, girl, how you know? The Bible tells me so. That's it.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you for that. So we're gonna play the game. So a
Oh,
little
God.
explanation. I'll give you 10 words, people, place, or things, and you give us the first authentic word that comes to your mind about that person or that thing.
Is this a
If you-
setup, Trinity?
No, it's not a setup. No. Now,
Okay.
now it depends on how you answer it. Is it a setup?
Oh,
But
God.
I'm gonna be easy on you tonight with the words. But yeah, just give us the first thing. If you want to give a briefing of why you chose that word, by all means you can. If you want to just leave it at that, that's cool too. The first person I want to say is, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the name Tiana Maserati Steele?
Okay, ask me, what is the first?
What's the first word that comes to your mind when you hear the name Tiana Maserati Steele?
Talented.
Talented. You want to
Mhm.
elaborate, or you just want to leave it at talented?
Yes, because again, this person has had talent all of their lives,
Mm-hmm.
even prior to transitioning.
Mm-hmm.
And the talent has only been enriched in the transitioning.
Mm-hmm.
And she has never left the innate talent that she already, I mean, she's gotten older and all that kind of stuff, but prior to transitioning, because, Tiana was one of the original Kitty Litter dancers from St. Louis.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
So just even in high school and all of that. So that's why I say talented, forever
Okay.
talented.
Number two, what's the first word that comes to your mind when you hear the city of St. Louis?
The Midwest best. Mhm.
Midwest best. Gotcha. How many
Mhm.
times have you been to that arch?
Oh, in my lifetime, maybe about shit, 20 probably.
Okay. All right.
Have you ever been?
I have. I went
Oh,
during
okay.
COVID when all the flights was $20 and $30. I said, I'm going to every city. And I went.
Oh,
I went to St. Louis my first time, and it was so beautiful. And it was snowing and stuff, but it was beautiful. So I did go through the whole tour down there and
did
all
you
of
go
that.
up inside the arch?
Because I was too scared. Now I'm scared of heights, and I'm
Oh,
claustrophobic. So
okay.
going up that thing, I was like, But I was down there and I took pictures, but I didn't go all
Yeah,
the way.
it's
Uh,
cool.
Number three, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear Montez LeBling Williams?
Drag queen, my twin. Whatever I would want to be now, that's her. That's what I tell her all the time.
He has a very, very respect for you is was the word I'll use. How he speaks of you. What I do, well,
Yeah,
all of us do, honestly. But yeah,
yes,
definitely.
yes.
Number four, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the book of Proverbs?
wisdom.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. That is any particular verse or just the full book?
It's so full of so many. It's so full of. I would be remiss if I attempt to mention any
Try.
of
Yeah.
them. But
Okay.
the book of Proverbs has so much wisdom and life lessons and affirmations.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Uh, number 5. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear Rick Finn?
I Simon.
Mhm.
And many people don't know that has been our running game since since Ebony, but since Ebony pageantry system. I love Rick. I love Rick's conviction on things. Now we don't always agree, but you already know how American Idol was. You know, Paula and Simon could see the same thing, but Simon would eat them up. But Paula would try to show them some compassion and love, all while encouraging them as well. So Rick and I, or so when people don't understand, like if he remark on a picture, or if I see him in public and I call him Simon and he called me Paula, that's where that comes from. So that's my Simon, and I love him.
Shouts out to Rick Finn. Number 6. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you remember the night you were crowned Gay Black Ohio?
Oh my God, excited, just excited. And
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you why I was excited, because for so many years I wanted to be a part of it.
Mhm.
Um, because it was such a legacy pageant, and here in the Midwest, that's what we had. We had pageants that could eventually be called national pageants and that sort of thing, but it was the legacy and the people who were associated with the legacy of those pageants was the real excitement about it. And
Mhm.
to finally be a part of it, I used my reign as the 39th queen to make sure that the 40th anniversary was exceptional. And, Sean and I worked so hard, and it was. Now, I will say this, that this has been my pledge um, for the 50th anniversary. Oh, Vicki will be there.
Okay.
Paired, hip, and healed.
All right. How many more years to the 50th?
I think it's 3 more years.
Okay. Gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear Regina Anye?
My sister and one of my first friends
Mhm.
in this lifestyle.
Okay. Gotcha.
Mhm.
What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear Gay America?
Discipline.
I
Mhm.
mean, did you go over there?
Oh, sure,
How
yeah.
many
Well,
times did you go over there?
I ran for Miss Gay America like 5 times, because I've been Miss Gay Missouri, I've been Miss Gay Nebraska, I've been Miss Gay Midwest, and there was a couple of times that I went as like first alternate.
Mhm. Okay. All right. So
Mhm.
discipline, and we'll talk about that on hiring the program when it comes to
Okay.
grad. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear? We talked a little bit about her earlier, but Sasha Valentino.
Just beauty, um, beauty mixed with troubled emotions.
Mhm.
And those emotions were validated in her quest to become what she really wanted to do, what really wanted to achieve. And there's a bit of sadness as a result, because from a competition level, she may not have been successful, but for the hearts of people, people consistently saw her elevation and her drive to become it. So it's sadness that she was not able to accomplish that in her lifetime.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And last, what's the first thing that comes to your mind, or what do you think when you are called to judge?
Oh, they trust me.
Okay, they
They
trust
and I hold it with such high regard, because I'm there for the sole purpose of telling the truth. And I think beyond the truth is the reality that you want the best person according to what the criteria is set. Because some of my favorites have gone and ran in pageants and I've been on the panel, and I walk away from there assured that I gave them what they deserve. Now, whether they like it or not, oh well. Because what I really know after that is if you were on this end of it or this side of it, you would have uh, probably gave the scoring equal to or greater than what I gave. And the one misconception about that, and that may have been the next question, but the one misconception about me as a judge, I'm not a hard judge. No, ma'am. I'm not her. Mm-mm. But this is what I do say, man, my follow up to that. A good competitor already knows what's wrong. You just need a good person and a good judge to tell you. But you
Okay.
already know. So why? And that goes, Wendell, to your point. The scores are the scores. Now there can be controversy about that, but the reason why I raised that saying and coined it was, what are you going to do about it? Is it going to be a mantra for you to come back and do better the next time and let those scores be in your favor? Yes, there are people who finagle scores. Yes, there are, and shame on them. But that's not. I don't want my coin phrase to be taken out of context ever.
Mhm.
The scores are the scores. And these are they. And the these are they comes, the people with the pen made this decision. You were in the audience. You may have something different on your page, but these are they right here. When you get to adding, subtracting, and dividing, these right here, they right here. And it
So,
doesn't sit well. It doesn't sit well with a lot because people misconstrue and take it out of context. In no way do I believe that scores are not finagled. Don't you ever believe that.
mhm.
But the sportsmanship in you says they're not going to take the crown from the person they gave it to and give it to you. Not in most cases. So you come to the reality to say the scores are the scores. I mean, yeah, this probably went on or this didn't go in my favor, but what am I going to do about it? Am I going to come back and get better ones? Or I'm going to sit and sulk that I didn't get what I thought that I should have gotten? That's why you weren't judging. Sometimes we often judge ourselves, and that's the worst thing a competitor can do.
so
In my
since we're here hiring the program, and you segued your way into your famous quote, and I know that was something that Wendell wanted to speak on. So I'll let him.
Girl, you keep throwing that on me, but
I've been
I
saying
mean,
it.
oh, y'all been
respectfully.
talking about your auntie?
Oh no,
Well, we've been saying
I
we know
always
that
talk
that's
about
your
that.
favorite quote, and Wendell doesn't agree with it. So
Yeah,
I want
I
him to.
Oh,
don't.
okay.
I
Okay.
don't.
So
I don't.
go
But
ahead.
I don't partly respectfully. I don't agree with it, but it's partly because of what you already said, and
Uh-huh.
that is that people take it out of context.
Correct.
I think that it makes sense. Of course, the scores are the scores. It is what it is, right? That
Hmm.
makes sense. But
Hmm.
I look at everything through a corporate lens.
Hmm.
And through a corporate lens, to say that it is what it is means that you can't change status quo, even if it's wrong.
Hmm.
And so I think that it's important what you said at the end was people take it out of context because what you are saying is that if I judge it fairly and
Hmm.
this is what I saw because it's subjective, right?
Correct.
Then it is what it is. You're not
Hmm.
speaking on behalf of judges that are working together to finagle
No,
some BS.
absolutely
So
not.
I think that when people use the scores or the scores, they often use it to
As a
justify
weapon of
bad
mass destruction,
behavior.
and it was never that slogan was never meant to be a weapon of mass destruction.
Right.
It was actually a statement out of sportsmanship for Vicky when
Hmm.
I'm competing. And I come to the conclusion, whereas I know I could have done better.
Right.
So the scores are the scores. I mean,
But do
so
you
I'm looking at
agree?
these scores and saying the next time I'm going to work harder on this. It's a sportsmanship and a thought provoking um, mantra and affirmation for one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes, and y'all know this, and not just the scores of the scores, but there are other statements that are taken out of context based on who said it.
Hmm.
They're not mad at you. They're mad it's you. If Vicky hadn't have said it, because you know she mean what she say.
Mhm.
So I'm just going to get mad because, oh, I don't
Hmm.
believe it. And you may not believe it. That's fine. But ask me where that come from first before you go and use it against me when
Hmm.
that's what it was actually for you, for your own personal reckoning in a good way.
Hmm.
Because how many times have we competed when we know we didn't win, but we wanted to be mad anyway? We just wanted to be mad, first of all, because we spent all our money. We done traveled all this, we lost more than we would have won. And then in our minds, sometimes we got work. But every pageant loss is not a working. It's actually
Absolutely.
working for you because they're waiting for you to act a fool. And whether you were worked or not, I know what it feels like to be worked. So as I said, when I developed that mantra so many years ago, it was for me.
Yeah.
And it just so happened to spill upon those persons that I came in contact with.
So it was your coping mechanism.
It was my coping
It was
mechanism.
your coping mechanism.
Absolutely, Wendell.
But I
Absolutely.
think that I still think
Yeah,
that when people use it today, they use it conditionally.
they do.
Because if their friend lost, the scores aren't the scores.
Correct.
But if their friend won, then the scores are the scores. And
But
so that's where this flip-flop comes in. So
this this
I
comes
don't
from.
disagree with you that if it is what it is, if you earn what you got, then it is what it is. But if you can see, I'll use for example somebody get dead last in interview because someone said their hair was too dark.
Oh
That's a
my God.
working.
Yeah,
That's a working. So when
yeah,
someone say, well, the scores are the scores, well, those scores will stay there forever
yeah. And
because
see,
I've never
I
darkened that
hate that.
path.
I really hate because I am a judge. It's a catch-22 because when you see me, first of all, don't expect that I'm the hard judge. No, ma'am.
I'm
I'm
never
your truth. I'm your loving truth. And Trinity, stop. Because you are who you are today because of those reckonings. They
Well,
weren't
I
work.
mean,
I
clearly,
always felt like you gave
I
great
was.
energy on
They
the
didn't know
panel.
what shit.
But Vicky, I've always felt like you gave really good energy on panels. Like
Oh,
you give
really?
enthusiasm. You kind of like help the person, even if they look like they are, failing. You kind of still give them
And you know
energy.
why,
So
Wendell?
I don't think
You
that.
know why, Wendell? Because I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been there. And beyond what you present on stage, my thought process, what it took for you to get to this point, coupled with, but also while I'm doing that, I'm also wondering, have you done your homework? Have you studied this score sheet? Do you know how this pageant goes versus the one that you were in
Mhm.
before? Because one of the things that I'm faced with, well, it worked in that pageant. Well, that was that pageant. It wasn't this panel.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean?
I
So what
do.
I'm saying is, when you see me on a panel, know that I've been there.
Yeah.
So
Whether you are,
I
yeah,
because you've been there,
uh-huh.
what do you say to people that say, "Well, she on all these panels and judging us, and she hasn't won anything national. How can she judge me?"
Hmm.
What is
Well,
your
first of all,
reply to
my
that?
my response to them was, in most cases, honey, when you were in the womb, I was in a wig, and my story and what I've done, you have no idea because you already have a preconceived notion. And honestly, winning a national title is a good thing. It still does not make you relevant.
It's not the only thing. Yeah.
It's not the. It still don't make you relevant because a lot of people are crowned and still don't know how to reign. And a lot of people have been reigning but shouldn't have been crowned.
Hmm.
So my thing is, and also it's almost like a job. And when I've been in corporate America all my life, get my resume, honey. I can put the pen to this paper and get the job done.
Hmm.
And that's not being self-righteous or anything. And what you don't know is I'm advocating for you. I'm rooting for you.
But
But when you don't give me
respectfully,
nothing to root for, I'm going to let you know it by the power of this pen.
do you
Mhm.
think that promoters should put more effort into who they choose to judge their pageants?
I
I say that to
absolutely do.
say, just for context, I say that to say that a lot of people choose judges based off of who they were 40 years ago.
Uh-huh.
When I don't have a problem with the age, I just feel like they should be still understanding the trend. They should
Uh-huh.
understand where fashion is now. They should
Uh-huh.
understand what is deemed acceptable in this era. I think
Uh-huh.
that there. I think that it should be about like to me. If I add everybody up on your judges panel and it's 350 years,
Uh-huh.
then it's time to put some youth up in here somewhere, right? Because if everybody is 60, then who's going to understand the 20-year-old that doesn't identify with that? So you know what I'm
Well,
saying?
I understand that perspective, but do understand that age ain't nothing but a number. You had Andre Leon Talley damn near 70,
But he was
still a
trendy.
fashion icon, and he could not be disputed whether you were brand new or ancient.
But he was trendy. That's why I said
Okay,
that
but no,
you can be
what I'm saying,
old but still
but
understand.
what I'm saying is some people have hidden abilities that you don't know nothing about. You're just basing it on what they, you know what I mean, what you know about them in terms of age and how old they are. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm saying,
So it's no
and
different. It's no different than like me. I'm a cheerleading coach at 40. I still know how to
you
tell
still know how
them
to
to
judge
do.
cheerleading
But
competition.
I
I'm
still
not
know how
talking
to do
about that
what. No,
person though.
but I think what she's trying to what Vicky is trying to say is that it doesn't matter how old I am if I understand the elements of what the
Yeah,
score sheet is
Right, we're
saying and
saying the
stuff.
same thing.
Right.
I'm not disputing
yeah,
that. I said I have a problem with the person who is on the panel because they were amazing 40 years ago, but
yeah,
they've been gone for 40 years.
exactly.
They don't
And
know the
Wendell,
scene. They
let me
don't
tell you,
understand.
I hear you, and there's been times that I've been subjected to that.
Yeah.
And even hearing the judging chatter after, it's like, well, girl, what it, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I understand totally what you're saying.
Right.
However, I don't want you to think that across the board. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times that's not true, but there are times that it possibly is. And I feel like sometimes people are filling their judging panels with their friends who they fellowship with.
Mm-hmm.
But in the defense of a person that is making that decision, I don't want nobody to just come out the blue and mess up the integrity of my pageant either.
Right.
I have been known to be one of the pageant persons on the judging panel to just take it over and tell you what you're not going to do. Because I'm not going to be put on this panel with
That's
you
good.
because we're all judged together. So your behavior is
Yeah.
equivalent to everybody's perception of the behavior on here. There was one time, and I won't mention this, there was one time that someone got up and we were on a panel and they said something about they didn't want this person to win.
And they shouldn't be judging.
Baby, I was first of all, no, you got up and said this on an announcement
Wow.
that you didn't want this the pageant's still going on, but you mentioned something about you didn't want somebody to win on a previous panel that you was on, and then you went as forth and I told the judges, baby, I was 69 high because I feel like um it's a cohesive panel of people who have their own judging technique, but at least the consistency is there that we're all seeing the same thing.
Hmm.
But that does not mean that we all see things the same way.
Right.
There has been opportunities where I'm sitting right next to a judge. They saw something that I didn't. Maybe that wasn't my concentration at that time. But the fact of the matter was, it was there. I just didn't see it. But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that it wasn't there. Do you
Right.
understand what I'm saying? But I feel like, and I don't feel like every judging panel has to be identical. I like a varied judging panel, but I don't like to be on a panel for you to automatically just point to me after the results are off. Gribs that motherfucking Vicky on that pattern and baby shit. Child, if you only saw my scores and compared to the one that you ha ha and he and loving on, see theirs first and then talk to me. That's what
When
you
we
do.
when you talk about your integrity when you're judging,
Uh-huh.
let me give you a scenario. You are judging. You have it's five of you. You're one of five,
Uh-huh.
and we'll say that you're the head judge.
Uh-huh.
You know, all the scores have come through, and girl A won the pageant,
Uh-huh.
but girl C was called out as the winner. What? does Vicki Valentino do in that moment?
Mm.
Well, okay, so let me make sure that I'm putting the scenario together, because being the head judge does not mean that I see all of the scores and that I'm adding them up.
Right.
That's
Right.
that's that's a duty of the tabulator.
Right.
The
But well,
tabulator
so
is
so
supposed to.
let me just say you know that this person was supposed to win. You know that you just know from the judging onto the tabulator that this girl won. You know,
Uh-huh.
hey, XYZ won, da 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 da. And it goes over to the announcer or to the MC or host. And another name is being called. And you as the head judge, knowing from the tabulators, if they may have communicated back with you or not, whatever, you know that that is not what was on that paper and was not supposed to be called. How do you, in this scenario, as the head judge and your
Mm.
integrity, how do you handle that?
Well, if I could be totally honest, and this is not a pageant, I'm going to give you the real deal. First of all, among among the many pageants that I've had here in St. Louis, I had Missouri State for 20 years, and even during that time, I had 15 judges. And
Mm,
people want to know why you got so many judges. Because first of all, it's my pageant,
mm,
and faggots have decided that it's only 5 and 7 faggots. Nowhere in the book of pageantry does it faggots decided that. So in my pageantry system, it was a grooming pageantry system. So I wanted several perspectives from, you know what I mean, in grooming these entertainers to become, because they mimicked an audience. Because you do know that when you come out on stage, everybody's not appreciating what you're doing. Some people are paying attention. So I had so many judges, as you know, as far as that concerned. So for the last 20 years, me being the owner of the pageant, I made it my business to entrust my tabulation to two professionals who were certified in all of this. And if there was seemingly some inconsistencies,
mhm.
I mean extreme inconsistency, because we can't call an inconsistency somebody gave you 5 and the other gave you 3. That's not an inconsistency in my point. But if somebody gave you 5 and the other one gave you a 1, then I'm gonna need to question that. So to be honest with you, I've never been in a situation like that,
Mhm.
because what I know is, and as I said, there can be some finagling. There can be. There's an opportunity for that all the time. But it needs to be clear that the head judge that you mentioned is in tune as to what the tabulator is saying. But your tabulator is the one who's supposed to bring to the head judge's attention that there could possibly be a scoring problem.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put you on the spot.
But what would you do? I'm still curious to know what would you do if you know for a fact that this is not
They
what
would
the
if
tabulator told you.
and to be honest, Wendell, I couldn't tell you, because I know it wouldn't get to that point. It wouldn't it wouldn't get to that point. And if I did, if I to be honest, I don't really know what I would do. I would be pissed off, because again, you putting my pageant's integrity in question. But again, what is the fellowship between the tabulator and the head judge? That's what I look at. And I don't feel that you can be a head judge and the tabulator on the same night. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because how many times, guys, have we heard this? Well, you won on my sheet,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
here's my
Yeah,
thing.
you definitely hear
If
that.
there were 6 judges, you can't speak for the other people, because you ain't supposed to have seen what they scored.
right,
It's an accumulative average.
right.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we need to refrain from saying you won on my score sheet. And how many times have we got to a pageant outcome and we're like, well, girl, that ain't how I saw it. Oh, well,
Right.
girl, that's it.
But the
Because the thing,
scenario that
I'm not looking over here at the other 5 judges' scores.
But the scenario that Trinity gave, she said, you are the head judge. You are
Uh-huh.
the head judge. The tabulator told you Serena won by 20 points. But when you're listening at the crowning, the person on the mic says Serena got first runner up. But the tabulator came and told you Serena won by 20 points.
Oh, well,
What does Vicky do?
y'all wasn't that explicit. Oh, I grabbed the mic. It'll be corrected that night. There'll be no going home.
Do
Now
you
that's
return back to
integrity.
that system and judge if that ever
Huh?
happens? Do you return back to that system and judge the next year if something that were to happen?
If that judge, if that owner will have me, but we do know that they will be confronted in such a confrontation, so they may want to or they may not. It'll be their
That's
decision.
integrity. I like
But
that.
I gave you your tea, a
Okay.
hot cup, because that's what I'm not going to do. Because again, at the end of the day, this pageant is not worth my reputation for the rest of my career.
Right.
And I'm not going to let one person
Yeah.
destroy that for me and possibly nobody else, depending on how favorable the person next to me is.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I like
What is your
that.
take on systems that don't give score sheets back?
Um, it's subjective. For me, it's subjective in this wise. Because I've been there on both sides of them, I know what that feels like. But in accordance to what this system is calling for, I could not just come through there and bombard my thought process on what they've already done for so many years. But do I have my personal? Yes, I would have a concern. One of the reasons because I've been there, because I do want to see. But then if there is an avenue for me to talk to somebody that will express to me something that I can believe, because as I said, a good competitor, you already know what's wrong. You just needed a good judge to tell you. So if a judge is reading the score sheet and say, there was a split on the other side, oh yeah, that's right. There was
Yeah.
so and so and so. That's right. Oh, she saw that. Girl, what the other judges got? You know what I'm saying? So sometimes we have to take a reality check. But I've been there, Trini, on both sides of it. And going into the pageant knowing that this is their protocol, there should be no complaints, win, lose, or draw, because you already knew the protocol going in. And one of the reasons that I admonish the contestants, know the pageant that you're running to, because getting this title may not all be what it's chalked to be for you. Because your sister, your brother won, don't mean it's for you. Because
Mhm.
you may not can take what they took. And you
Yeah.
don't know what it took for them to get to what they got.
That's
You are
true.
not them, and they are not you.
There you
So
go.
don't come over here dismantling what already existed before you brought your ass over here. Because you could have stayed your ass over there. Because this
Okay.
ain't gonna change over here.
And these are they.
And wait a minute, Wendell, let me go.
Um, Back to putting you on the spot. You're the head judge. You're the head judge, and you are in charge of picking your panel. Who are your six other people?
Mm-mm.
Wait a minute, repeat that.
Oh,
You are the head judge of Miss Whatever, Mr. and Miss Beautiful.
Uh-huh.
You are in charge of picking six other judges. Who is your panel?
that's a good one.
And this is me.
Do you.
No, that's Baxter's. No, I said this is me. That's back. I don't want him to get on me
He
to my
finna
get.
get us.
Yeah.
We're gonna be on that night.
You don't want to be on the
um,
docket.
um, and based on what you said, I mean, I ain't got nothing to do with that. But Vega, Andre,
Who's Andre? Who's Andre?
Andre Brown,
Okay.
love him. Um, this is Katrina. I had an opportunity to judge Black America with her this year, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Um,
He's a pencil.
Thaddeus. And I'm naming the people that I've had opportunities to share beyond. And before I can get something out of my mouth, they done already said it.
Well,
This is
Thaddeus.
what I'm saying about you asking me who I'm choosing. These are people before it even come out of my mouth. You know what I mean? How
Two
many was
more.
that?
Two more.
Um, Monica Santangelo.
Well, they're gonna have
And
Monica or Katrina removed because they both from St. Louis. So you
No, they from Memphis.
They both from Memphis. They're gonna have them removed. No, I'm just playing, but
No,
okay,
no,
Mike.
no, 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 no. Okay. And then one person from here, his name is Chris Greenfield.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So from your
That's a
panel,
balanced
I'm
panel.
gonna
Yeah.
give you some I'm gonna give you some scenarios that are happening in pageantry. And from a judge's point who is doing this and from a competitor and been in the art form 40 years, I want to know how you would break this down.
Okay.
Boys coming to interview vying for the Miss division.
You want me? Okay. That's been my claim to fame, winning the interview each time.
Okay.
And that was according to the criteria that I was allowed to do that. I made the decision during 1 year at Continental Elite to go as a woman. I handled myself well, but my authenticity was not there.
Mm.
And that was the 1 year going to Continental Elite that I did not win overall interview. Now, if
Mm.
there's a criteria that says that I have to come as a woman, then yes. But those of us who don't live trans, and no disrespect to those that do, my authentic self, if that's what you want in this interview, that's what I'm bringing to you. Because everything else is a made up fantasy. And if you want, you know, how it's always said when you come to interview, be your authentic self, well, this is it. If
Yeah.
I lived as a girl, then that's the persona that becomes my authenticity. But this is my authenticity. And as long as the rules say that I could do it, then that's what I'm going to do.
All right. Another scenario. A gospel talent with no choir.
Boring. But it also depends on the anointing of the soul performer. Because sometimes you can do a gospel soul by yourself without anybody till what I'm judging is thoroughly entertaining to me. Do you all remember when Daphne did Get Out of This House by Shook? She ain't have no choir. Woe burst out. So, do I think that it's a lazy effort? Because sometimes people run the gospel and you should be running somewhere else because you're not anointed to do this. And it's showing. You're just doing it because it's status quo. But I can tell you one thing, if you're not anointed to do it, you're going to need some help.
Okay.
But
Another
there are
scenario.
some, but
Yes.
listen, but there are solo artists that use trap when they trap.
Right. Okay. So y'all hear that.
Yeah.
Have the anointing, but understand there are some artists that use tracks.
There are some artists that use tracks, but here, make sure that anointing is there because the anointing destroys the yoke of this being a drag talent, and the message is delivered in the spirit in which it was given.
Okay.
Do you understand? Everybody can't do gospel, and folks need to stop running
Yeah.
to gospel if this is not your calling. That's where you get embarrassed and you get these bad scores because this is not your calling. You're messing, you're tapping somewhere this ain't for you because you playing. And we finna play with these scores with you.
Oops. Girls coming to interview and or in swimsuit with no stockings.
Drag one-on-one, at least one pair. At least. Your skin ain't that milky. You were born a dude.
Okay.
And even if it is milky, respect the art form. Now, people, that's a subjective opinion as well, because there are some girls that can do that. But to me, I think you're going against the grain because you know that you can.
Do you take a point away for that?
I will.
Okay.
Mhm.
Coming off of the stage for talent and going behind the judges.
Mm.
That's one of my pet peeves. But if in the application or the code of ethics for the pageant, if it does not disparage that at all, then I, as a judge, can have a subjective opinion. Do I like it? No. But can I kill you in point taken away? No, I cannot.
Okay.
Because you weren't told that in writing for that to be rule.
So how can you take a point away for stockings if that's not in there for interview?
because I feel like this. Some things we should just know in presenting ourselves. And again, a judge's opinion is subjective. That's my subjective opinion.
Okay.
And it cannot be said whether it's right or wrong. It's just my opinion.
Colored hair.
Everybody can't do it. And sometimes it messes up the completion of your illusion because you wanted to try it.
Yeah. Flushes
And
you out.
again, if judging be subjective, many of the criteria in the judging said the style, the suitability of hairstyle. That's mainly, I mean, if it's done nice and all that, it depends because, sometimes it's not done nice. So that'd be my opportunity to
If it
say,
works.
okay, yeah, yeah, but that'll be my golden opportunity. But I'm not just gonna hack you, but how did you do this color? Is it neatly done? And see, here's the other thing I believe. When you do stuff like you draw attention to every flaw that there could possibly be. It already ain't right. But then it's dry too. That just opens the door.
Um, Femininity and masculine competitors.
It depends on how far it goes. Because I'm sitting in a position to judge a Mr. contest. So whether you gay or not, there is still a persona of Mr. Because you could easily be Miss. And for some, it's very easy for you to do that. But you've chosen to be a Mr. So I'm gonna need you to keep the mind of Mr. and dismiss the Miss.
From a judge's standpoint, how do you feel about these questions during question and answer that are a full thesis before you actually get to the actual question?
Ridiculous. And what I found out was those are the pageants that's trying to do a gotcha. Now, I do believe that there should be some, some some measure of difficulty so it won't be so easy to see if you're cluing into listening and are you able to interpret what you heard? Because that's the way I can judge. Was she listening? Or did she even hear the question? Oh, she ain't answer that. That ain't what they asked you. Now, do I like it? It depends on how in-depth it is. Those three-parters are murder. Because it's like, girl, I'm in front of all these people after this long ass night. And then you ask me this three-part questions. There are some masters that can do it. But then there are some who I, you know, they can't master that. So I believe in competition, it should be across the board.
Yeah.
Because there are some people that can lay into a simple question. So you think that they didn't ask them in 3 points. But you know what I'm saying? Like, like for instance, what's my baby name? Miss Thing could just come on and just go on and answer the question. Asheria.
Mm-hmm.
You can ask that woman a 6-part question. She gonna clue in, but everybody does not have that ability, and that doesn't make them bad or make them a dummy. It's just that a lot of times you can't put everybody on the spot to answer nothing in
Yeah.
front of a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
So how do you compare that to someone that may not be talented?
In terms of answering the question,
No, so if we have so this is what's going on. I'm noticing a lot of pageants are removing question. We did a seminar while we were Renaissance, and Benny said he removed question from Black America, which that was the worst thing ever. But he removed question because a lot of people were getting to question and they were losing the pageant because they weren't answering the question. Okay. Or that was throwing them totally out of the 5 or going back down. And you have won the pageant all the way up to the question, and now you're third runner up. Basically, is that what he was saying?
mm-hmm.
So if you're saying it needs to be an even playing field, just because Susie can answer a question well, you are removing that from the competition. But Susie may not be the most talented person. She may only be okay in talent.
Uh-huh.
But you have you know, Wendell, who is amazing in question, but he may not be the best in formal wear. So if we're going to play it across the board, it needs to be played across the board because we shouldn't be removing question or giving easy question just because you don't know how to listen and articulate what you need to say.
Mhm.
I've never been this amazing evening gown person,
Mhm.
but I know what works for me in certain instances. But
Mhm.
I know that I'm going to fuck you in interview and question. So
Uh,
y'all want to remove this because that girl can't answer it. But what about the girl that can answer it that may not be the best in the other categories? How do you feel about that?
well, it's funny that you say that because Benny, we talked about it because I love Black America, everything about it. I do think that some things need to be. One of the highlights of Black America for me was hearing Bruce answer the question. It was like the voice of God. That is just
In the interview
that.
process, oh
It,
Jesus, no, I'm gonna fuck this.
the voice of God. It was like, girl, you took away the voice of God, bitch.
Yeah.
But I understand where a lot of times guys do understand this. Pageantry is a business. So when you're taking surveys about your business and the majority of the people have brought to your attention, much thing like you did, you're able, and one thing, Trinity, you've always been able to do that, whether I agree with all of it, but I'll call you. I don't call you no more. I just let you be a grown woman now. But in your coming days, I will call you. You say, hey, I want to hear that. Oh, you're gonna hear this on today. But what I'm saying is when people make decisions for their pageant, it's their decision. You make a decision whether or not you're gonna be in it.
Right.
Because a lot of times people are making decisions based on business and not your opinion.
Mhm.
Because of a lot of people feel, and it's also based on time. You know, it alleviates a lot of time because how many, you know what I mean? And here's the other thing. This is what I personally feel. And like you, I love question. I love interview. It is my thing, bitch. I can't wait for it to come. If y'all ain't got question, bitch, in your interview, bitch, I'm not coming to your pageant. But that's the decision that I make because I know where I excel and I do well.
Mhm.
However, if I take it upon myself to be in a pageant that has made a determination to do something else and it's not something that I know that I can excel in, then I'm not going to compete in it.
Mhm.
Because and again, as I said, a good competitor, you already know what's wrong. You just need a good judge to tell you. So we need to make sure that we're entering realms that we can be the best that we can possibly be in every category. The worst question that you can ask to me, what's your best category and what's your least favorite? Bitch, don't ask nobody that because if you name one and come out and be a fool, then I'm gonna be mad at you. Now, if you do tell me I work equally on all of them, yeah. Because bitch, you talking about gown is your favorite, then it come out and it's your words.
Mm.
Then I got a
I,
problem with that because I gave you the opportunity to tell me that, but then you chose to pump yourself up and then you done came out of here and gown and you was the absolute fool. I ain't forgot what you said in interview because if interview is before I see anything that you presented, I'm recollecting that which you already said. Now, if
Right.
it's a lie, you told it.
so I have two things on that part. The first part was about the long questions. I don't
Hmm.
see anything wrong with three-part questions, four-part questions if they make sense. The
Uh-huh.
problem is that a lot of these long questions that they present are not written intellectually. They're like a hoax because it's like A has nothing to do with B, so y'all just skip
Yeah.
straight to D, and we
Yeah.
want somebody to answer it and make it make sense. And it's not the person's job that's answering the question to make sense of it. It's the person who wrote the question. The frame of the question should be written with intelligence, and I
This
think
is
that's
this,
a problem.
and you want to speak of my pet peeves because someone is an MC does not mean they can interview. It's just
Oh
an interview on
God.
TV. Just because you MC a show, don't mean you can ask the questions
That's right.
Lord
because you're not
Jesus.
giving the inflection of even
Mhm.
concerned about how this is going to be perceived or even answered. That's why one of one of my things. I'm just going to say that about myself. You would want me to ask you a question in the pageant because first of all, it's like having a conversation with me. And it's
Mhm.
proven itself that I'm going to get the best answer out of you because I'm not cutting you off. I'm not sounding condescending.
Mhm.
I'm not throwing the question at you in a raw way and say, here, answer that. No, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm asking you a question, whether complex or not complex. I'm asking you like we're having a conversation.
Yeah.
That way, you feel more compelled to deliver to me as you would to somebody that you're familiar with.
And you're gonna look at the question before it's time to read
Absolutely.
it.
And then I'm going to know what the question says before I ask you to, you know what I'm saying? Ain't
Absolutely.
no, ooh, I mean, ooh, no,
Uh-huh.
uh-uh. And
Now,
that has happened several times, and I
yeah.
didn't like it.
Now, my other part is about them taking it out. And I'm not necessarily talking about Black America, just pageants, period, because a lot of pageants have decided to take it out.
Uh-huh.
The only issue I have with it is very the same as Queen, as Trinity, is that if you start taking something out because you feel like the you surveyed and a lot of people had issues with it, you're going to have more people with issues in talent than any other area. And talent obviously takes much more time than Q&A, but you won't take it out because you're okay with people getting laughed at and read because it makes your pageant more, important or popular because people walk away with a laughing moment. But the reality is, in my opinion, in this climate, in 2025, with technology the way it is, I would be more concerned with the way a person communicates than the
Mhm.
way they do a split because they can go on Facebook and go live and destroy my whole pageant in
Yeah,
1 5-minute moment. We
I
saw that
could.
with a pageant last year. So
Mhm.
we know that it can happen by that. So I think that Q&A should be on a higher scale. The only problem I have with Black America is you do what you want to do. So with Benny,
Mhm.
that's his pageant, he did what he wanted to do. The part that
Mhm.
didn't make sense to me was that he left it with Junior and Junior missed. That was the weird part. I was like, well, how did the children still got to have a brain, but the adults can be yabba dabba do? So that was my only problem with
Because it
it.
was given we need to get somebody in that can't answer the question. So moving
I don't know
on.
about that.
Anyway,
Well,
uh,
Next
moving
game.
on. I want to ask you. I want to break down a category, and you give me one thing that you want them to stop doing in that category.
okay.
Interviews. Stop doing what?
Stop coming in there lying. And when you cops come in there lying, I'm good. Because
How do
when
you
you,
know that they're lying though? In the moment, how do you know they're lying?
because like your mama knew you was lying.
She did.
Yeah.
Still do. Um,
Yeah.
Presentation. So we'll say presentation is self-expression. What is one thing that you want them to stop doing in presentation?
Honestly, I want them to stop letting it be open and self-expression. Give some type of guidance so I can know what I'm
What?
judging.
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, if I'm judging self-expression in sportswear, self-expression in evening gown, you know what I mean? Give me a
Structure.
cohesive goal as to what I'm supposed to be looking for. Because when it's all over the place in terms of, because someone could come out in something avant-garde, somebody could come in something one way. It I'm able to judge it because of my experience, but I can see where the confusion is. And I'm not gonna say that sometimes I'm not confused because I'm very confused.
Okay. In
Yeah.
sportswear, what do you want them to stop doing?
Wearing peplum skirts.
Wait a minute
I don't
now.
want to see no more peplums.
Okay. All right, Yasmin.
Y'all are over
In
the pepper. Everybody's
swimsuit,
over pepper,
Oh
guys.
my God.
what do you want the males to stop doing in sportswear?
This me.
Wearing cha-cha heels.
Oh, and when you better not say nothing. But for me, because I dress well as a man. But of course, I'm a seasoned man. But when you all are in these pageants, there's a high water length and then there's a flood length.
I agree.
So which one is it? And then you ain't got on no socks and these loafers are cheap. So that's I want some of that. You know what I'm saying?
A
Just
complete
wear a
look.
long pant, and you know what I'm saying. And I know it's trendy. I know. Maybe I have racks of clothes and looks that I lock. You understand? So it ain't got nothing to do with that. But there's a thin line between the appropriate length and then flooding, and then you ain't got socks on and cheap loafers.
What do you want the girls to stop doing in evening gown?
Fake laughing when you come out. I want that to, honey, stop all that foolishness. And ain't nobody even saying nothing. You like, yeah,
What about the males in formal wear? What
Yes.
do they need to stop doing?
rubbing their hands like they got lotion on them.
Okay.
And if you do it one time, you ain't got to keep on doing it. Because you think that is your man, honey. You done rub these hands so good. It's like, girls, you nervous? Because ain't nothing else on your hand.
Because y'all told them to be masculine, so they got to do this, so they don't do this, so y'all don't read them.
Well, girl, those are promolive hands, girl. You're showing your nails.
Because
After,
they,
What
after
what
a
needs
while, it's going to be like, girl, you're
what needs to stop in talent?
these non-anointed gospel. And yeah,
Okay.
and numbers that's been done excellently by someone else. It is not your opportunity to redo that. Because you're not, and no, it's not your opportunity to redo that and expect the same response that they got and then want to throw up in somebody's face.
Yes.
Well, you let so and so done and then she won. Well, girl, you're not her. You're
You are
not
not Nikki. You
anointed.
are not Nikki Diamond Simone. Please
you
You are
ain't
stop
do
not
it
doing that,
like
no,
Tamara.
her.
no, I ain't finna name, I'm not finna name no names.
I
You are not
will.
anointed.
Yes. Okay.
You was appointed to do this number, but there was no anointing.
Um. Question. What needs to cease in question?
Them long ass questions that have four aspects to them, Wendell, much like you said, that don't make sense, and I'm supposed to make sense out of it. Yeah, it makes sense to some, and those of us that are astute and intelligent enough to see what they're asking. But for some, everybody is not in tune into that. And when it's
Yeah.
several aspects to this question, girl,
What? How do you, going back to the structure and give me one, how do you judge a pageant that says sportswear and or swimwear? How do you do
oh,
that?
girl, that to me is troubling in a sense, but I'm able to distinguish the two and score according to what you brought
Mhm.
without comparing. You understand? Like, if it is sportswear swimwear, which I hate that because I like everybody to have the same opportunity to do the same thing, because sometimes swimsuit is the cheap way out. And sometimes the fit of these swimsuits is inappropriate versus you could have had on a sportswear and it would have probably fared well better for you. But the
Gotcha.
affordability factor was there. But I'm going to judge you according to what I see in the swimsuit. Now, if this swimsuit ain't fitting you right, or everything ain't buckled, and I'm not talking about having hourglass. I'm talking about how appropriate is this? Because I don't have a respected person on size, because you can take size and make it the biggest, best thing
Mhm.
ever
Mhm.
if you put some thought process in it. I always say accentuate your positive. Put those girls up. I
No.
Can't
gave them
nobody
a
wear a
name.
swimsuit
I
like D
gave them a
Ebony,
name. I'm
baby.
gonna tell you what they are.
Baby, can't
What?
nobody wear a swimsuit like D Ebony.
What are they,
And see,
Auntie?
that's what I'm telling you. Like,
Oh,
she accentuates. It works for her.
It
yes, it
works for her.
does.
And then the gag is it be so amazing. You be like, girl,
Head
if
to
she
toe.
can do it,
She
surely.
could do it. Have you ever found yourself saying, no, you don't have to say the system, but I'll never go back and judge that pageant? That's yes or
Uh,
no.
oh yeah. I have.
Tell us a system or some systems that you've never had the opportunity of judging that you would like to judge.
Um, I like new system. I like, and I don't want to name any, but I like new systems.
Okay.
Like, I mean, Black America is my heart. That is just my heart. It's my heart. Not just become prior to me even being on the judging panel, just the whole legacy of it and what it stands for and all of it. But certainly most importantly, I'm a judge and something. But I like new systems that I believe in its mission,
Okay.
Mhm.
because
Okay.
y'all know we got pageants everywhere. But then when I
Every,
look at the promoter, and
everywhere.
I'm a person that always considers the source, because I like to be a part of the grassroots of evolution,
Mhm.
so that when I'm sitting down and ain't doing drag no more, I can trust that this pageant integrity still stand.
Okay.
But I was there in the beginning to see that it at least initiated itself like that. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. Can you give us 30 more minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. because I have some things we're gonna wrap up, but it's some
But
questions.
is anybody gonna watch this for all this time? Vicki on
You
here
have
talking.
high numbers. Yes, they're watching now.
Oh
You don't see
girl,
the comments?
I can't see all of that.
Oh no, baby, they watching you, auntie. They on here. um, do you as a judge and as an owner, because you do own
Hmm.
Missouri, right?
Yeah.
What's your take on dethroning?
Mm.
For every action, there is a reaction, and that's all I say on that.
It's life.
Because I'm not gonna react unless you act it.
Do you have a favorite queen as Missouri? Who is your favorite? Do you have one?
I don't
Or
have
the
a.
best year?
Many of them have had like phenomenal years. I don't even want to single one out because each of them had years that were rough, but on the other side of that roughness, look what they're doing now.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
From a judge standpoint, and someone that used to do drag and been in the game 40 years,
Hmm.
is pageantry dying?
It is not. And I'll say it's not because people are still competing. People are still trying to find their niche in this thing that we call gay pageantry.
Okay.
So as long as something is living and someone is competing, pageantry is not dying.
Yeah.
How could it?
Right. So, adjacent to that, why do you feel numbers are low?
The economy is one. It's expensive to compete nowadays
Mhm.
on an expected level. Now, what you
Mm,
bring is not always what's expected of you. But
mhm,
if you can't afford it and you just give us what you can afford, and someone can turn their corner and they done spent their savings,
mhm,
but you mad because you done been here a couple of times and you ain't, you know what I'm saying?
mhm.
But I do believe things are getting expensive, y'all. I mean, and then another is the judges. And I'll say this because I remember when I was competing in Continental Elite, and that year I won over our interview in Continental Elite. But I know Skip had asked the question, um, well, Vicky, what? And then we was in group discussion, and so the question was thrown out. What do you think? Um, what do you think Why do you think the numbers in pageantry is decreasing or not like it used to be? And I just flat out said the judges. Maya, and she almost had a Maya and Dana, they was looking at me like, no, she didn't say that. And I said, I'm gonna tell you why. Have you invited someone to your house and you set the table for them, but you sit at your own table frowning?
Mhm.
I was excited about coming to your house, but then you're looking at me like I'm nothing. You have not considered all that it took for me to get here. Then I done spent all this money for me to get on this judging panel. I mean, get on this stage, look down at the judging panel, and the judging panel looking at me like I ain't done nothing. They're showing no enthusiasm. Who wants to do that?
That goes back to what he said when you're judging, you have a good aura
Yeah,
about you.
who wants to do that? And then I'm not saying being fake. It's a difference between being phony and being real. But when you show no interest at all out of all this money I done spent, I done came all this way, and you got a stone face on this judge panel. I'm not saying jump up and down and all that kind of stuff. I'm not even saying give me no fake smile, but show that you're interested in what I have brought to this stage, whether you like it or not. And there is an expression that humans
Mhm.
or human to human can feel.
Mhm.
Do you, as someone that's been around, I don't want to say a long time, I want to call you old, but you know what I
You
mean. You've been
fine,
around
you
for a
fine.
while. You've been on many panels. You've
Yeah,
seen things. I know you've heard things. You've done things. Do
yeah.
you believe that this pageantry world is political?
In most in most cases, yes.
So how does one navigate in the politics? What do he or she? What does he or she should do? What does y'all know what I'm saying? Damn, I'm getting caught
Yeah.
up. What should,
Okay, so it's really unfortunate that pageantry has become a part of the political climate. However, there are some people who feel that they are overnight sensations and stars. So, regardless to if it is political or not, that's what they're going to call it. But I rather reward someone who I know have put their heart and soul into competing in this competition under the guidelines, not giving favoritism, versus someone who is just rushing through here, having fine-tuned those things. Yeah, you came out here in this $1,000 Gucci sportswear, but you don't know how to model it. I'm not going to give you extra points because it's Gucci, because you don't know how to model it. And that's one of the components on this score sheet. Modeling, horrible. Gucci, yeah. But Miss Thing came out here in a straw bag and modeled it to death, and it fit her well.
Mhm.
She's getting my score, or her just due score.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
in fairness,
Mhm.
based on the criteria. So what I'm saying is the overnight star got on the Gucci, but can't do nothing with it.
Mhm.
But Miss Thing got on the peplum and wore us out. You get what I'm saying? Because I don't want to be yeah, you know what I'm
Right.
saying?
That's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah, he
Do
got on the
you?
Gucci.
What do
But
you
you
say?
you leave the pageant mad because you had on the Gucci and you just thought that Vicky got you or the panel got you because you forgot to look at this tape and saw that you ain't modeled.
The Gucci you couldn't walk in.
The Gucci you couldn't walk in. Yeah.
Um,
Gucci.
what do you think about? And I know this has to do with your integrity, but I'm asking because we've had some
It's
other
fine.
judges come on and say that they feel this way. But what do you feel about executive decisions at the end of the night for the system? And let me break that down for you.
Okay.
Just kind of what you just said. You have a newcomer that's been doing the only pageants 2 or 3 years, and then you have a girl that's seasoned that's been doing it 30. I don't want my brand to lose what it is. So we're going to go with the executive decision of the season girl because we know that she can promote da 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 da. She's the name. How do you feel about that? Do you feel like that is something that you can agree with in a sense or no?
Or go with the new girl because they want a breath of fresh air.
Well, again, that's subjective in this wise. I feel like it should be fair regardless
Mhm.
because this new girl could surprise you and
Right,
give you what you need. So
right.
there is no such executive decision in fairness if
Mhm.
Mama won, Mama new girl.
Okay.
What executive decision have you made? Because if you crown old lady Elizabeth and she ain't doing nothing, then you've done yourself a disservice in this decision. And I should hope that that doesn't happen. I'm not saying that it hasn't or that, that it doesn't happen even to this day. I should hope that because I'm all about giving people a
Mhm.
chance for them to prove themselves right or wrong, and understanding that everybody's not going to be 100% right. That's the misconception that we always have, that we're going to always be 100. No, ma'am, you're not.
Do you think promoters should normalize not accepting entry fee from certain people?
I do, because if you're going to work them not.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree
Yeah,
with that.
yeah.
Three elements, what Vicky would say, makes one a great queen.
Humility, humility. Um, being self-sufficient in whatever it is for you to be self-sufficient. And that goes back to you're not always going to be 100, but are you self-sufficient or are you a beggar? You just need to have everybody do something for you.
Mhm.
And commitment.
Mm,
That's what goes out of the door. You can't reign 5 minutes in this crown before you run into the next one. You ain't committed.
come on.
There's no commitment. Because whatever you're committed to, guess what you're going to do? Your very best. My grandfather lived for 97 years, and he said, 2 jobs is for 2 people because one of those jobs is not going to get all of you.
So with those three elements, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Give me one girl who you think possesses that during her reigns, and she could be a current girl or she could be a girl from the past.
Um, my LePage niece,
Which one? Who?
what can I think of my niece's name? Not LePage. It ain't LePage. It's Lindsay Page.
Lindsay Page. Yes, Lynn Slay. Shouts out to Lindsay on her way to USA.
Lindsay Page. And I'm gonna tell you why. You know, when Lindsay first came out and we first got nature her, she was like Whitney's clone.
Mhm.
But she is such a huge, she's so humble. She's
Yes.
self-sufficient. Every time you see Lindsay, she's together.
Mhm.
Whether the look is similar, the same or not, it's always together.
Together.
You know what you're gonna get when you get her.
Right.
And she's committed to whatever pageant she's
Yes.
in.
I agree with that.
Go
Uh-huh.
ahead, Lindsay. Shouts out to Lindsay.
I love it.
Like,
What do you feel needs to change in the art form for it to get back to numbers to being high or the fun of it?
For people to examine themselves truthfully. And I say that because we all have different talent, different abilities. And until we start acknowledging it for ourselves and each other, it's always going to be a cat fight as to who's the best. Back in the day, everybody competed together in love, in fellowship. It was the best time. May the best girl win. Now, if you don't win, they at you.
mm-hmm.
Even in the dressing room, y'all friends now, but as soon as I get crowned, bitch, you ain't got nothing to say to me. That's a problem. And people have put themselves in a position to be a part of that. You know what I mean? Whether it's mentally or physically, our actions sometimes speak louder than words.
Mm.
Because I remember the best part of a pageant wasn't even on stage, it was backstage.
Backstage.
That's where we developed real sisterhood. Now people are walking off stage. Now, girl, you was just kicking with me. Now you walking off stage as if I did something to you. That's
Or
why.
or the guys. The
Or the
guys seem to be
guy.
doing it worse now.
Yeah. Then you start
High
tearing
five.
me up. Then you
Yeah.
start tearing me apart. Girl, I just got what I got, and you got what you got. Yours wasn't up to par.
Mhm.
Why is you mad?
Mhm.
I could have helped you, bitch, if you'd have asked me. And I was helping you up into the crown, then.
But what if they got word?
I don't want to hear that. They ain't got words. Now,
She told you. She told you the scores are the scores.
And I
Um,
told y'all on the
see
grade.
what I'm saying?
um, you come from an era of national titles being prestigious and
Yeah.
taken with care.
Oh, God, yes.
What makes the system national?
Oh, you did put me on the spot.
You said you wanted to come to the cookout. Let's eat.
Oh, you so messy. You're messy.
Hey.
I thought you wanted me to bring the ribs, not the potato salad.
I don't eat meat, so the greens.
Um, because it's a national pageant or international pageant coming up every time you turn around. It's subjective, but for me, a pageant is a pageant. And as a pageant has had the opportunity for the representatives to go more than 2 places on a regular, then it's national. If your pageant is held in Houston and all you've been to is Dallas, that ain't no national pageant. National representative is just what it is. Is this not the nation? I'm not saying go to every, but girl, if you only in one state, you are not national. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And then the thing is, as a winner, it's up to you, if you're gonna be national, to be national. Don't wait for your promoter to send you places where you can go. That way you can solidify for yourself that I'm a national representative. But if I'm in one city in one state, or maybe the next state over, I'm not national. And even if you go from if you go from Mississippi to New York and that's all you've been your whole reign, I'm afraid, honey, you're not national.
Okay.
Mm.
Gotcha. Um, when you look back, drag, who, what four ladies would you put on the Mount Rushmore of drag? Who would you deem
Oh my
is there
God.
on that mountain?
Tommy Ross, for sure. For more reasons than when Tommy Ross gave up Miss USA in 1989, it was in St. Louis, Missouri. And that's when I met her.
Okay.
Um, and the one thing about Tommy and our relationship, it's been the same all these years. And she's done so many things to pave the way for people that look like us. Yes, there were people before her, but she's been committed and she's still here. She's one. Vicki Vincent. As I said, this was the person who knocked down barriers for people of my skin color in this area and across this country to make waves. There's just so many.
Two more.
Okay, and then I would say Naisha, and I'm gonna tell you why. I would say Naisha because under Naisha's umbrella of the platform she created, is an array of stars who
Mhm.
have proven themselves.
Yeah.
But they all stem from what she created and the vision that she had for them.
Gotcha.
Um, so I said Tommy, Vicki Vincent, Aisha. I would say to me, I would say Maya Douglas.
Okay.
Like
She is the infinity of beauty. She looks just as beautiful today
yes.
as she did years ago.
Gotcha.
I mean, I'm talking like she is just so full of class. She There's no scandal.
Mhm.
Wherever she needs to be, she's there looking beautiful.
Mhm.
So those will be the people.
That's a good list.
I have
Yeah.
a question that was submitted while we were talking about the different categories. How do you judge or differentiate a solo talent from it being a show number and an actual talent?
Delivery, costuming, elements. Because you would think that if you come in and you're speaking at a national pageant,
Hmm.
ain't nobody paid to come see you do what they could have saw you do on a Saturday night at the show. Have you made a costume change? Have you gave me some? You know what I mean? What
Elevated. Yeah.
I mean, how have you elevated this from just being a regular number? Because
Hmm.
sometimes we get away with people saying, "Oh, girl, you had turned it." No, you didn't. You ain't get to no national stage to do this number that you just did Friday night in the same costume, and it ain't went from A to Z. It just went from A to Nay, and we're done with that. No,
And you may
that's a
have done
cop
it
out.
better on the show.
Exactly.
Gosh.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
hi. My first pageant you judged, and
Uh-huh.
you all asked me a question.
You remember?
Yeah, I remember because y'all let me hold it. You said, "Well, how do you think the representatives did this year as Mr. and Miss Ebony?"
Oh.
And I was authentically myself.
Mhm.
And what you all may have felt was a read to the queen at the time, I was just being honest about how I felt she did.
Mhm.
Um, and the queen was Nicole at the time.
Mhm.
And you said to me, you and Simon both said to me, never do that.
Yeah.
Never speak down on the queen. Be mindful of what you say
Mhm.
because that will carry you over when you go to other systems, your reputation, this and the other. Tell us how important it is because you have been one of those people that do call and say, "Now, niece, now, girl, take it down.
Yeah.
Don't say nothing. Why did
Yeah.
you do that? Let me hear." But it's
Yeah.
always been in a nurture. It's never been in a mean or
Right.
manner or talking down on me. It's always been in a
Absolutely.
caring manner.
Absolutely.
And you'll say what you got to say. All right, I'll talk to you later. Never giving me the opportunity to explain because you don't want to hear it. How important is your reputation in this community?
It's important because, we talk about legacy, sometimes that's overrated. But if I had to answer what I would want my legacy to be, is that I lived in all of my flaws and all,
Mhm.
that I laughed. I wasn't always so serious about every doggone thing. I brought some joy to you in some kind of way. But most important, that I love.
Mhm.
I loved you enough to want to see the best in you, whereby bringing out the best in me. I always tell people this all the time. As I encourage you, honey, I'm encouraging myself beyond what you'll ever know. Because I'm really a crybaby.
Right.
I'm a
As you.
crybaby because I do love.
Mhm.
And I can love those that don't love me.
Mhm.
Because you don't love it's not the fact that you don't love me, because of the respect that I get and the respect that I give. That's a problem for you to comprehend.
Mhm.
It's not it's not that you're mad at me. You're mad it's me. And that's it.
Gotcha.
I
Okay.
do feel that, because I would just want to make it clear. I have never thought that I was perfect in nothing. Maybe I have so many flaws in all, but I do admit those flaws to myself, and I don't try to put those flaws on the next person because they're mine.
Mhm.
A lot of times, people in my longevity in the career, you always want to put your fears off on someone else.
Right.
It ain't gonna work for me. It never was gonna work. I'm not gonna tell you it's not gonna work for you,
Mhm.
but I'm also gonna tell you the things that you think are working and they're not.
Right.
It ain't you know what I'm saying? Because certain things don't work for me. And I'm not gonna say they ain't gonna work for you, girl. Go ahead it. But if you decide to do it, it's gonna have to be done in such an excellent way that it can't be questioned.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Every
Mhm.
pageant, there's always backlash on the internet.
Oh yeah.
It's always a live or a contestant feel as though they've been done wrong. They do a live, people's fans going live, and of course, we have all of the different podcasts that
Mhm.
may do their lives. What is your take on that? Give us a brief summary of how you feel about that.
I feel like this. Before we had Facebook, there was no such thing. And I do know that people want to be heard, but they want to be heard for the wrong reason. And you being heard is not like you being heard in a good way. Because people are formulating an opinion about you as you would form an opinion about them if the tables were turned.
Right.
Sometimes we need to have confidants so that our integrity and our reputation can stay intact. Because once you say it, you can't take it back.
It's true. And they'll hold
And
you
then the
to
thing is, you meant it at that time.
it.
But not everything you think should be said.
Mhm.
Because especially if you have aspirations to go further. Now, if
Gotcha.
you're done, bitch, let have. But not jump up in the next opportunity to be seen and we done forgot. No, man, we ain't forgot.
Okay.
It will be carried to your grave. And whereas I understand we are frustrated when things happen, but get you a group of people who love you enough that you can bounce this off. Because we didn't have Facebook. Facebook just came when the last 15 years or something.
Mm-hmm.
We had it. There was no opportunity because you didn't do it on what was that?
Black
What,
Planet.
yeah, but you ain't do that. They
Yeah.
censored you, so you ain't. I was gonna say Jack. No, I wasn't.
Oh,
I wasn't. I wasn't gonna
these
say that.
the last we're wrapping it up. The last two questions, but we asked every all of our icons and legends. This is the last time I'll put you on the spot.
You're fine.
I need three up and coming entertainers. You can't name Lindsay because you just named her.
Mhm.
But three up and coming entertainers that you feel, and they could be male or female, that you feel will have longevity in this community. You see it for her or him. Um, yeah, three.
Mariah the Goat.
The goat.
I saw her a few years ago, and I just and just to see her soar, so she's definitely one of them. Um, and okay, so these are people that I've seen in recent years. That's what you're
Yeah, they could
saying?
be they could just up and coming. They could be newcomers. They can be girls that have been around 15, 20 years. Somebody that you just know will have longevity in this community.
Well,
That will be
Mariah,
sitting
she's
in
my
your seat in 20 or 30 years being interviewed.
the reason I'll just say why I say Mariah because she helps everybody.
Who?
Yeah.
She helps everybody.
Mariah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Um.
Two more.
Um. And I'll say my nephew Ian.
Yeah, okay.
Ian, I call him my awkward nephew. But when I tell you he is pushing through.
Yes.
But the one thing I love about Ian is this. Ian will help you get to where you're going.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And do it with such enthusiasm.
Yes.
And I love him for that. And I want everything that he ever because he's not cheap.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, it needs some awkwardness there somewhere and all that kind of, but he's willing to do it, but not only for himself, but for somebody else.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
So,
I agree.
um, and my nephew Ian, and I call these people my nieces and nephews. I'm only going to call you that if I know you in my heart,
Hmm.
not see you in my eyes, but know you in my heart.
Right.
Um,
One more.
and also, and it's my niece from here, Essence Maserati,
Uh-huh.
this cosmopolitan.
Yeah, I love her. She's so
The
fun.
story, her story is just, I mean, she's one of my Missouri State queens and all that kind of stuff, but her moment has come. But it's, many years ago, I named her the Tall Glass of Glamour.
Hmm.
And her opportunity as Miss Cosmopolitan, I mean, from here, that y'all don't know nothing about, but y'all got an opportunity to see her in action,
Hmm.
that's always been there.
Right.
It's just enhanced. And you're talking about helping people reach their goals. She has been in the trenches doing it.
It's good.
But this opportunity that she's gotten for this year has
Mhm.
just knocked my socks off.
Yeah. So
And I say knock
yeah.
my socks off, it's for y'all to see it. I've already seen it because she was just housed here. But
Right.
the nation gets to see it and appreciate it. So those
Shout
would be
out
my
to
three.
Essence. I saw her this weekend, and
Uh-huh.
she's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
You told us what your legacy is, so we'll bypass that. But I'm gonna go back. What is your
Okay.
love? What is this love for Diane Carroll that you
Girl, I am her. I
have?
just
Are you Diane Carroll or are you Dominique Devereaux?
I'm Diane Carroll because she was multifaceted. And
So
so it's so funny. She was just my muse of the type of woman that I wanted to be. Like,
Mhm.
you know how you see movie stars and stuff like that? She was just it for me. It was just everything about her. The simplicity yet elegance. That's who Vicky is. But then she could be a little sassy. See, many of you I probably don't know. Like in the day, I was a sex kid. I really, really was. And so, but I always had this intuitive nature to have like class because I love classy women. Even to this day, a woman with class is just and I'm not talking about cockiness.
right.
Cockiness ain't class. I'm
Right.
just talking about class.
She definitely was that.
She
Yeah.
and then the thing is, to be honest, of all the celebrities' deaths, to include my favorite Tina Turner as well, to know that Diane, because somebody just spoke about her, Audra McDonald spoke about her, because Audra McDonald is up for another Tony. Y'all know who Audra McDonald is, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And she was talking about her influences of people that look like her. And then when she mentioned Diane Carroll, I was like, because
Yeah.
she mentioned Diane Carroll, she mentioned Ruby Dee,
Mhm.
Hmm.
and she mentioned uh Lena Horne. She mentioned those three people. And I just thought that was just, yeah. So this Diane Carroll just that is just
I had did a little research and I said, "Oh, okay." But yeah, I love Diane. I remember one interview she did. She said, "Oh, I believe in a little nip tuck."
wait a
That was
minute.
so
And so you know my signature style hair.
yes, that's very
I,
that. Reggie
I,
used to do that
I
on me in interview. Remember, I used to come to interview with that Diane Carroll hair.
yes, yes,
Um,
yes,
so yes, I love her.
yes,
Going back to 1984 when you put on your first wig to
yeah,
today,
yeah.
would you do anything? Would Vicky do anything differently? Would you? Is there anything
Oh,
you wish you would have done or not have done?
oh, plenty things. They're too numerous to even mention, but even even having said that, I don't regret any moment of it.
Okay.
I have no regrets of my career because I accomplished that which I set out to do.
Mhm.
To those who allowed it,
Mhm.
if you know me, you know me. If you want to know me, I'm here for you to know me. Do you understand what I'm saying? And
Yes.
so
Yes.
I that when I that's why I'm not regretful of anything, because if you want to know me, you can. I am not intangible. One of the things when you come to St. Louis, you got to come to my house.
Mhm.
This is where it starts. This is where now, if you want to book it and all that kind of stuff, that's fine. I'm just saying, like, and one of the things I've raised this city or attributed to this city to be welcoming to everybody who comes from out of town. Now,
Right.
that's one tradition in our city that has been years old.
Mhm.
Any of the entertainers that we now know, they can always say, when you come to St. Louis, you're gonna have a great time, because the best thing for a city to do is to embrace a stranger.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Right.
And St. Louis has always been that. And my heart is done glad when I talk to our celebrities, because I call them, we're celebrities, and they say, "Oh, we had such a good time in St. Louis."
St. Louis.
Y'all
Yeah.
was just, it was just, oh, child. And it was like, people, to me, mission accomplished, because
Yeah.
there are places that you can go and you feel like a stranger in a strange land and they don't make you feel no better.
Oh, you're right. You are so right. What would the nurturer that you are? What would all of your kids and your nieces and your nephews and everyone? What would they say about you? I know what I would say about you, but what do you feel as though what they would say about you?
It's probably nothing that it's probably something that they n- not always said. And versus anything else, they say, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't have to like me.
Hmm.
If you love me, that's good. But if you appreciate and allow that to be spoken out of your mouth, I'm okay.
Okay.
Because nine
Two more.
times out of 10, I probably don't like you either. But I
Oh,
love you.
oh my goodness! I
And
have one.
the liking you goes real deep. I don't like your way, but I
Right,
love you.
like you, right. You know that's what your parents say. I don't like what
Yeah,
you did, but I love you.
yeah, yeah,
Two more questions. No explanation, no definition. If you
yeah.
could sum your life up in one word, what would it be?
Faithful.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
So, where can we see you? What next panel are you on? What are you doing next? What's going on?
Well, regretfully, I was actually supposed to. No, I was supposed to be in Jackson, but when Kitty died and all of that, and we had to do so many things, so many of those plans I was planning, because I was supposed to be in Virginia with you guys too, because it's in the same week and all of that, so it's going to be. But when that, it just shot me down in so many ways. So I was in the midst of planning for tickets, and then I even tried to look for a ticket like yesterday, it's like way too high.
Right.
I don't know why. From here to Jackson, it was just like it was. And then I had already told Tuck because I like to be a person of my word,
Mhm.
but when Kitty died, which was like less than 3 weeks ago, you know what I'm saying? It dampened my spirit in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. But y'all, I have had, I mean, I didn't know what to expect. I know I love
Right.
both of y'all. So I was like, I hope they don't get on me. And baby, let me tell you about Wendell. Wendell, he don't care nothing about that.
Right.
He said, no, I agree. I disagree.
That's him.
See, I
So
love all that because
so we'll
I feel like when you come into my presence, either be authentically you or don't come in my presence at all.
absolutely.
Because you're gonna always get my authenticity either way.
So, guys, we're going to do the recap when Auntie leaves, but we just want to say you gave us 2 hours
Amazing.
and 30 minutes of conversation, which we always tell, I guess, an hour because
Now
you
who
never
gonna watch
know
y'all?
what is going to happen. We've had some guests that literally at the 59 mark because it was so hard to get stuff out. We've had, I think you've probably been the longest one, 2.5 hours, you and Aja.
I was gonna
Um,
say Aja, so
I
yeah.
think ours was a little.
Mm.
Ours was right at 3, but but it was great conversation. So with that being said,
They cut
we
us
do
off
do.
on Aja.
Yeah, they cut us off. It was so
Oh
long.
yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Okay,
but it was a
okay.
great. It was such a great conversation. So guys, we're gonna do a recap when Auntie leaves. But Wendell has the final question for you. Wendell, if you go ahead.
Well, I mean,
What's
it's
up?
really simple because you've already given us so many nuggets. And one of my favorite is the gypsy part because I thought that it was amazing that you put more emphasis in Vincent
Yeah.
than your counterpart. And I think that's why you stayed. So we always ask for our legend to leave our audience and ourselves with a nugget that we can take with us. It doesn't have to be pageant related. It can be definitely life related.
Well, it's an old cliche, and it's something that I live by. And in my eyes, you guys have done a dynamic job. I mean, you reaching out to do this and do it so consistently. You know, I'm on consistency
Mhm.
and all of that. And I want you. I'm just really proud of you guys. And we are celebrities in our own right. But I just want, and you've probably heard it before, but it is so powerful in self reflection about everything that we have already accomplished in our lives or aspire to accomplish. And it's summed up into this simple phrase: it's nice to be important, but it's more important to
Mm,
be.
yes.
Gotcha.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you so
Bye.
much,
Thank
Auntie.
you
You
so
have a
You're
good
much,
welcome.
night. We
Miss
appreciate you.
Valentino.
Wait,
We
wait, wait,
appreciate
window.
you.
What I said, you better not come out there.
You know, I'm nervous because I do that.
Oh, miss. Well, thank
I'll
you, Auntie,
definitely be
so much.
moisturizing.
Thank you, Auntie, so much for this
All right.
conversation. It will stay
Thank
up,
My
you.
pleasure.
and we will talk to you soon. We love you, and you have a good
Love
night.
you both.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank
That was amazing.
Yes, it was. So, what's your take? What's your recap from that?
It was, I mean, it was a lot to take from it. I thought the most amazing part was that she was open minded. Even about things that she may have had a very stern thought on, she was still open to hearing another opinion of it. So that was important to me.
Okay. Yeah, I had a good time. I knew she was going to be a great conversationalist. So, to be able to dig deep into the judging part of everything, I think that that was
Oh,
important.
baby, you was coming with the questions. You could tell that you have,
Yeah, because I want to know, like, it's
but now,
different. We know she does drag, and we know she was successful in that, and she's done. But from a judge's standpoint, like, okay, it's so many misconceptions when it comes to judging with the choir. What about this? She did it. So
yeah,
I
but
just
you was
want.
coming with it tonight. Like you had, you had some corners.
You so
But
stupid.
I love that she was able to handle the question number one, which of course we know she could handle
Yeah,
the question. But I thought it was great that she was even able to accept when she really did not have an answer.
right.
You know,
And
when she
I
had
think
not
that
thought
that
about
happens.
it before.
That goes to interview. You're in interview sometimes you don't have the answer. You be coming up with crazy stuff. You be like, that's not what I asked you. I
Yeah,
didn't. But yeah, or even in questions. So, but yeah, guys, thank you all for tuning in. She had a great number, a great
amazing.
show. And we didn't know it was gonna go this long, but thank y'all for staying with us. And of course, we will see you all next week with our next guest.
Have a nice
Bye.
night.
Bye. Bye.